Good morning, my dear friend. The day is just beginning, and the first rays of sunlight are quietly painting the horizon. There is something sacred about this hour, when the earth is still hushed and the sky has not yet been filled with the noise of daily demands. Morning has a way of whispering hope, of reminding us that even after the darkest night, light returns. In this holy stillness, the heart is most ready to listen, to confess, to dream, and to be remade. Perhaps you woke today carrying a weight you did not choose. It might be the grief of losing someone you love, the fear of not knowing how tomorrow will unfold, or the silent exhaustion of battles no one else can see. I think of a man who sat awake through the night, staring at unpaid bills on his table, convinced that he had failed his family. I think of a woman who clutched her phone in the quiet hours, waiting for a call from a child who has walked away, her heart aching with both love and helplessness. These are not distant stories. They are the realities of people around us. And maybe, in some way, your own, in these fragile places. Questions rise. Where is peace when the world feels hostile? Where is strength when your own runs out? Where is purpose when disappointment clouds the path ahead? Yet it is here, at the edge of our breaking, that prayer becomes not just a ritual, but a lifeline. Prayer is where the human cry meets the eternal heart. It is where silence becomes conversation, where weakness is met with unseen power, and where despair learns to breathe again. This morning, I invite you to walk with me into a journey of the soul. Not a performance, not a checklist, but a pilgrimage from heaviness into freedom. Together we will confront what blocks the flow of blessing: resentment, fear, doubt, and the endless comparisons that leave us empty. And together we will learn to release, to forgive, to speak life instead of death, and to act in harmony with what we believe. Faith is not the denial of struggle. It is the insistence that struggle will not have the final word. Prayer is not a desperate shout into the void. It is an opening of the heart to the one who already knows, already sees, and already cares. When we pray with sincerity, we are not begging for scraps of kindness. We are aligning ourselves with abundant love that longs to transform us. So as this morning unfolds, let us lay aside every distraction. Breathe deeply. Let the quiet of dawn wrap around you. Open your heart as if it were a window waiting for sunlight to pour through. You do not have to perform or pretend. You are invited simply to be honest. In honesty there is healing, and in openness there is breakthrough. Come, step into this sacred conversation. The God who shaped the morning sky is waiting to shape your day, your heart, and your destiny. The door is not locked. All that is needed is the courage to walk through. Dear Heavenly Father, in the stillness of this morning, I come before you with a heart that cannot hide. The day has only begun, yet I already sense the weight of things I carry, the invisible walls that seem to rise between me and the fullness of life you desire for me. These barriers are not built of stone, but they are strong enough to keep joy and peace at a distance. I feel them when fear whispers that I am not enough, when doubt shadows the promises I once believed, when resentment lingers like a heavy fog over my thoughts. Lord, I name them today, because I know I cannot overcome what I refuse to recognize. I confess that sometimes I have been my own hindrance. I have clung to disappointments as if they defined me. I have rehearsed failures until they became louder than hope. I have chosen safety when you were inviting me into courage. I have turned away from opportunities because they did not look the way I expected. I have compared myself to others and found myself lacking. And I see how these choices have shaped a pattern, a quiet resistance against the blessings you long to give. Dear Father, I do not want to remain outside the door you have already opened. This morning I place my heart before you like soil waiting for seed, where hardness has taken root through bitterness. Soften me. Where thorns of envy have grown, cut them away. Where the ground has been shallow with quick excitement, but no depth, deepen me so that I can hold what you entrust to me. I cannot prepare my own heart by effort alone, but I can invite you to do what only you can do. Plant in me the seeds of trust, patience, and gratitude. Let them grow into fruit that endures through seasons of drought and storm. I do not want to keep circling the same wilderness of limitation. I long to step into the promise of a land flowing with hope and abundance. Yet I see now that my journey begins not with outward change, but with inward surrender. Lord, strip away the illusions I hold on to, the defenses that keep me from being healed, the excuses that make me comfortable with less than your best. Help me face the truth without fear, because truth in your presence is never meant to crush me, but to free me. I ask you to shine light on every shadowed corner within me. Show me where I have been clinging to offenses, even small ones, that slowly build walls of separation. Show me where fear has disguised itself as wisdom, where pride has masqueraded as strength, where despair has worn the mask of realism. I do not want to live another day deceived by these disguises. I want to live awake, with eyes that see clearly and a heart that responds honestly. I remember that your word says the heart is the wellspring of life, and that I must guard it diligently. This morning, I open that wellspring to you. Wash it clean from the residue of yesterday's regrets. Clear away the debris of thoughts that no longer serve the life you are calling me into. Purify the stream so that what flows out today will be fresh, life-giving, and true. Let my words, my actions, and even my quiet thoughts be shaped by a heart aligned with you. Dear Father, I also bring to you the fear that I may not recognize your blessing when it comes. Too often I have dismissed opportunities because they did not arrive in the package I expected. I have overlooked small beginnings because I was searching for something grand. I have ignored answers because they seemed ordinary. Forgive me for limiting you by my limited vision. Teach me to see your hand in the simple, to recognize your voice in the gentle, and to welcome your blessing even when it arrives quietly. Today, I choose honesty over pretense. I choose to stand before you as I truly am, not as I want to appear. I admit my weakness, but I also admit my desire to be whole. I admit my failures, but I also admit my longing to start anew. I admit my fears, but I also admit my hunger for courage. These admissions are not signs of defeat. They are the doorway to freedom. For when I am weak, your strength is made perfect. When I am empty, you fill me. When I am lost, you guide me home. So let this day begin with truth. Let this morning be the threshold where I step out of denial and into awareness, out of excuses and into responsibility, out of hiding and into light. I do not need to fix everything in a single moment. I only need to open the door of my heart wide enough for you to enter, and in this opening, miracles can begin. Here I stand, Lord, at the dawn of need, not ashamed to confess that I cannot do this alone. Here I stand, ready to let go of the walls I built without realizing their cost. Here I stand, believing that the same light which paints the morning sky can paint hope across my soul. May this be the day when barriers crumble, when burdens lift, when the fog gives way to clarity. I place my beginning in your hands. Lord, as I linger in this quiet morning, the awareness of my need grows deeper, and it draws me closer to you rather than away. The honesty I embraced before opens a new door, a doorway that leads me into confession, not as a burden, but as a gift. For when I acknowledge the truth of where I have strayed, I discover your mercy waiting like open arms, eager to lift the weight I have carried far too long. My soul longs not simply for relief, but for cleansing, not merely for comfort, but for transformation. And I know that only you can provide it. Father, I confess that I have often spoken words that wounded rather than healed, words spoken in haste, words sharpened by frustration, words whispered in secret bitterness. Each syllable has left its mark, and I cannot undo them by willpower alone. I bring these confessions to you, trusting that your grace can cover even the careless phrases of my tongue. Let every spoken regret be gathered up and washed away, leaving behind a mouth ready to bless and not to curse, to encourage and not to destroy. God, I confess that I have allowed fear to dictate too many of my choices. Fear that disguised itself as caution. Fear that whispered lies about my worth. Fear that convinced me to stay silent when I should have spoken truth. This fear has shaped my steps more often than faith, and I grieve the opportunities I have missed because of it. Yet I believe that in confessing this, I release fear from its throne, and I invite you to reign where trembling once ruled. Replace the tight grip of anxiety with the steady confidence that comes from knowing you are near. I also confess the hidden pride that has quietly rooted itself within me, pride that made me insist on being right, pride that resisted correction, pride that valued appearance over authenticity. It has sometimes masked itself as strength, but in truth it has weakened me, because it kept me from depending fully on you. I lay this pride down before you, Lord, asking that humility would rise in its place. A humility that does not diminish dignity, but anchors it in your truth. There are also the silent sins, the ones no one sees. The envy that festers when others succeed while I feel forgotten. The resentment that replays small offenses until they become larger than life. The despair that tells me nothing will ever change. These inner shadows weigh heavily, yet I confess them all. For you see them already, and confession does not inform you but frees me. It brings what is hidden into light, where healing can touch it. Father, I confess the moments when I chose distraction over devotion, times when I reached for the glowing screen instead of the living word, times when I busied myself with trivial matters to avoid confronting deeper wounds, times when I drowned discomfort in noise rather than sitting with you in silence. I do not confess these things to wallow in shame, but to release them, to be made whole again by the one who redeems wasted hours and restores broken focus. God, I confess the ways I have harmed myself with harsh self-judgment. I have called myself names you never spoke over me. I have measured my value by successes or failures, ignoring the truth that my worth is established in your love. Forgive me for the cruelty I have shown my own soul, for agreeing with lies rather than with your voice. Teach me to see myself as you see me, to honor the image you have placed within, to walk with gentleness toward my own heart as you walk with gentleness toward me. Lord, I confess the neglect of gratitude. Too often I have rushed past blessings without noticing them. A meal on the table, a safe place to rest, the laughter of a friend, the strength to rise again, all treasures overlooked because I was too busy longing for something else. Forgive me for my blindness, for treating extraordinary mercies as ordinary or even expected. Open my eyes today to see what I already have, so that thankfulness may flow as naturally as breath. In this confession, I do not sense condemnation but invitation. I sense you calling me to lay down what was never meant to be mine to carry. The load of guilt, the stones of regret, the chains of secrecy, they do not belong to me anymore. I give them to you, trusting that in exchange you give me lightness of soul. Where once there was heaviness, let there now be freedom. Where once there was despair, let there now be hope. Where once there was shame, let there now be joy. Father, let this morning become a turning point. Let confession mark not just a moment of honesty, but the beginning of transformation. May every admission of weakness become an opening for your strength. May every revealed failure become a canvas for your mercy. May every tear of regret water the ground where new life can grow. I stand before you now not empty but ready, not ashamed but cleansed, not fearful but comforted. Confession has unburdened me, and I feel the fresh air of forgiveness filling my lungs. I will not cling to the past. I will step forward with the lightness of one who knows that mercy is not scarce, but abundant. Lord, hold me steady in this new freedom, and let this day be lived as one who has tasted your grace and cannot forget its sweetness. Father, as the weight of confession has been lifted, a quiet space opens within me, a space ready for something new. The heaviness that once pressed on my chest begins to give way to a gentler rhythm, and in that rhythm I sense the invitation to trust. It is not enough to leave behind the burdens of guilt and regret. I must also take hold of the promises that stand before me like a sunrise waiting to break across the horizon. Lord, I do not want to return to patterns of fear the moment challenges appear. Instead, I long to choose trust over panic, to anchor my heart in the assurance that you are faithful and near. God, I admit that trust does not come easily. My mind is quick to race ahead, to calculate risks, to imagine the worst possible outcome. My heart has learned the reflex of worry, rehearsing danger as if preparing for impact. Yet I know that worry does not protect me. It only drains me. Panic does not prepare me. It paralyzes me. And so I choose today, deliberately, to let trust be my response. I will not ignore the reality of my circumstances, but I will interpret them through the lens of your goodness, rather than through the lens of fear. Father, when I look around me, I see needs that feel overwhelming. There are responsibilities stacked like mountains, relationships fragile as glass, and dreams that appear just beyond reach. My instinct is to grasp, to control, to make everything secure by my own strength. But I know that strength without trust is brittle, and control without surrender is an illusion. I choose to release these needs into your care, not because I have given up, but because I believe you can do immeasurably more than I can imagine. I remember how panic has robbed me in the past. Opportunities slipped away because I hesitated. Moments of joy were stolen because I was bracing for disaster. Connections were strained because anxiety became louder than love. Lord, I do not want to repeat those patterns. Teach me to live differently today, with a posture of openness, with a spirit that expects good things, with a heart that leans forward rather than recoils. Let trust be the default language of my soul, replacing the old vocabulary of fear. God, I think of the promise that you open the windows of heaven, pouring out blessings so abundant, there is no room to contain it. I hold that picture before me now, not as a distant dream, but as a present possibility, where my eyes see scarcity. Remind me that heaven sees overflow, where my mind anticipates loss. Remind me that your character is generosity, where my heart trembles at uncertainty. Remind me that your presence is the one certainty I can always rely on. Lord, help me recognize that trust is not passive. It is an active stance, a daily decision to lean on you rather than on my own calculations. It means waking each morning and choosing to see provision even before it arrives. It means believing that doors will open even while standing in the hallway. It means expecting peace even when the storm still rages. This kind of trust stretches me, but it also steadies me, because it roots me in something stronger than myself. Father, I ask for courage to practice trust in the small details, as well as in the large crises. Teach me to trust you with the schedule that feels too full, the conversations I dread, the unseen twists of this day. Let me not reserve trust only for emergencies, but weave it into the ordinary fabric of life. In doing so, may I discover that every moment is holy ground, an opportunity to rely on you more deeply. God, I ask you to replace panic with peace when surprises come. Let my first reflex be prayer rather than fear, gratitude rather than complaint, reliance rather than resistance. Remind me that panic solves nothing, but trust unlocks perspective, wisdom, and strength. Guard my heart from spirals of anxiety, and anchor me in the assurance that you are working even when I cannot see the evidence yet. Lord, where I have believed that barely surviving is my portion, correct my vision. You are not a God of scarcity but of abundance. You do not take delight in my collapse, but in my flourishing. I refuse to accept struggle as the final word over my life. I will no longer confuse constant stress with hollowness, nor endless worry with responsibility. Instead, I choose to stand on the promise that you take pleasure in my well-being, that you are invested in my joy, and that you will never abandon me. Father, Let trust reshape how I speak and how I act. Let it soften my words with hope, guide my decisions with confidence, and color my outlook with expectation. Let others sense a different spirit in me, not a spirit of fear, but of calm resilience. May trust ripple outward, influencing how I carry myself, how I love others, how I approach the unknown. As I step into this day, I place my confidence in you, not in my bank account, not in my abilities, not in the approval of others, but in you alone. You are my foundation when the ground shifts, my refuge when the winds rise, my steady hand when panic tempts me to run. With each breath I take, let trust deepen, becoming not a fleeting feeling, but a rooted identity. And so, in the quiet glow of this morning, I release the reflex of panic and embrace the discipline of trust. I know there will be moments today when my heart will race and my mind will argue, but I will return again and again to this choice. For trust is not about having every answer, but about knowing the one who does. I rest in that knowledge, and I step forward into this day with expectation rather than dread, with confidence rather than fear, with peace rather than panic. Father, now that trust has begun to settle in my spirit, I feel a deeper call rising, an invitation to guard what you are planting inside me. The relief of laying down panic has opened up room for something richer, something lasting. But I know that without careful tending, the soil of my heart can quickly become tangled again. So I turn my attention inward, not in self-obsession, but in reverence, because I now see that the state of my heart determines everything else that flows from it. God, you see what no one else sees. You know the thoughts I do not speak, the motives behind my actions, the emotions I push aside, while others may read my surface. You read my source. And so I ask that you help me care for this inner world with more diligence than I have ever shown before, not out of fear of falling apart, but out of love for the life you have entrusted to me. Help me treat my heart like the spring. It is a place where decisions, dreams, and desires begin. Lord, I confess that I have not always guarded it well. I have let criticism take root and grow into bitterness. I have allowed past wounds to shape my view of the present. I have soaked in too many voices that sow anxiety, comparison, and unrest. I have not always noticed how a passing comment can turn into a lingering insecurity, or how one unresolved offense can grow into resentment that stains every relationship. But now I see how sacred the heart is and how urgently it needs protection. Father, help me filter what enters. Let me be mindful of what I consume, not just in what I eat or read or watch, but in what I meditate on, what I dwell on when I am alone. Let me take every thought captive before it becomes a belief. Let me weigh every influence before it becomes a habit. And let me choose what is true, what is noble, what is lovely, not only for the sake of purity, but because I want my heart to be a place where joy can breathe and hope can grow. There have been days when my heart felt hardened tight, closed off, slow to feel, quick to defend. I know now that this was not strength but armor, forged by disappointments I never fully surrendered. Lord, melt what has grown rigid, soften what has gone numb, bring life back into the places I silenced, because I thought it would hurt less to feel nothing than to risk feeling pain again. I want to live with an open heart, even if it makes me vulnerable, because I trust that you will be its shield. God, help me notice the early signs of erosion. When I start to speak more about problems than possibilities. When I begin to see people through suspicion rather than compassion. When joy feels like a stranger and cynicism becomes familiar, remind me to pause and return to the well. Remind me that I do not have to let these patterns become permanent. I can realign, return, and let you cleanse me again. Lord, teach me to protect the atmosphere around my heart, not by isolation but by discernment. Show me how to set boundaries with wisdom, not fear. Help me speak up when something grieves my spirit, instead of letting it settle silently. Help me protect peace by removing the clutter of unnecessary drama and unresolved tension. Let my presence be a place of safety for others, because I have first cultivated safety within myself. There are moments, Father, when I feel overwhelmed not by anything big, but by the slow drip of discouragement that adds up without notice. Remind me in those times to return to what I know, that you are with me, that this heart of mine matters to you, and that the enemy gains ground only when I stop guarding what you have already redeemed. Let me never become so busy doing things for you that I forget to let you tend to me. Help me recognize that a guarded heart is not a closed one. It is open to you and alert to danger. Is tender yet wise, soft yet watchful. It is not a heart that avoids pain at all costs, but one that processes pain through the filter of grace. Let that be my way forward, not living with walls, but living with wells, refreshed each morning by the truth of who you are and who you say I am. God, I want what flows out of me today to reflect the work you are doing within me. Let my words carry kindness instead of sarcasm. Let my responses be rooted in love instead of defensiveness. Let my actions be born of sincerity rather than obligation. Let my silence be thoughtful, not withdrawn. Let every interaction bear the scent of peace and the tone of someone who has been with you. When the noise of the day grows loud and pulls me away from this place of stillness, help me find my way back. Let a moment in the car become a moment of recentering. Let a breath between meetings become a return to peace. Let my awareness of you not be confined to this morning hour, but woven through the minutes and movements that follow. Father, keep me alert to the condition of my heart as I walk through this day. Show me when I am absorbing too much, when I am carrying emotions that are not mine to hold, when I am reacting instead of responding. Give me the grace to pause, to breathe, to invite you back into the center when I drift. Make my heart a place you delight to dwell in, not because it is perfect, but because it is yielded as I step forward. Let this not be a fleeting moment of awareness, but the beginning of a rhythm, a way of living where my inner world is no longer left to chance. Let me guard the well, because I now understand that everything else depends on it. What I build, how I love, what I speak. Where I go, all of it is shaped first by the heart, and I want mine to be rooted, clean, and alive. Lord, now that I have begun to watch over the soil of my heart, I realize that one of the greatest threats to its health is something I have carried for too long. Beneath the surface, tucked into quiet corners, bitterness still lingers. It hides behind justification and self-protection. It speaks in silent rehearsals of what went wrong, of who failed me, of how deeply I hurt. And yet, as I sit here with you, I can feel how heavy it is, how it takes up space where peace should live. Father, I do not want to carry it anymore. You never intended me to live with closed fists and locked doors. But when I hold on to pain, when I cling to offense, when I nurse old wounds, I see how easily my heart becomes divided. On one side, I cry out for freedom and joy. On the other, I guard my right to be angry, to remember, to keep distance. I feel the tension inside. I cannot have both. I must choose. And today, I choose better. I choose the harder path that leads to healing. I choose forgiveness not because it is deserved, not because it is easy, but because you have asked it of me. Father, help me begin where it hurts the most. Bring to mind the names, the moments, the conversations that still sting, the ones I have tried to forget, the ones I have buried under layers of distraction. I do not want to keep pretending they do not matter. They do matter. They shape something in me, but they do not have to define me. And they certainly do not have to remain open doors for bitterness to walk through. Today, I bring these places to you, not to reopen the wound, but to finally let you heal it. God, I speak aloud the names of those who wronged me, not to accuse, but to release. You see them. You know their hearts. You were there when it happened. And you are here now, waiting to take the weight from my hands. I choose to let go of what I cannot change. I choose to stop waiting for apologies that may never come. I choose to trust that justice belongs to you and healing belongs to me. As I forgive, I feel the locks begin to loosen. I feel the heaviness start to lift. Lord, I also ask for the grace to forgive myself. There are memories that come uninvited, scenes I replay with regret, words I wish I could unsay, decisions I would take back if I could. I hold myself to impossible standards, and then condemn myself when I fall short. I speak to myself in ways I would never speak to another soul. But you have shown me a better way. If you are willing to forgive me, who am I to argue? If you say I am redeemed, who am I to contradict you? I release the shame I have been wearing like armor and receive the gentleness you have been offering all along. Sometimes forgiveness feels like weakness, but now I see it as strength. It takes courage to bless instead of curse, to love when it still hurts, to trust you enough to let go. Lord, make me brave in this. Let forgiveness not just be an occasional act, but a daily rhythm, a filter through which I process every offense before it has time to settle. Let me forgive quickly, even silently, without needing attention or reward. Let me forgive deeply, not just with words, but with my heart. God, I recognize that forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It does not mean inviting abuse or pretending the pain did not happen. What it means is that I will no longer let the past dictate the future. It means I will not poison today with yesterday's sorrow. It means I trust you enough to take what was broken and build something redemptive from it. And so, I surrender the need to replay it one more time. I release the grip I have kept on what they did. I open my hands. Lord, I ask that you bless those I struggle to forgive. Even now, as my heart hesitates, I ask that you surprise them with goodness. Surround them with grace. Draw them close to your heart. Let no bitterness remain in me toward anyone, no matter how justified it may feel. Let me be so filled with your presence that there is no room left for resentment. And where my love runs out, let yours overflow. As I walk through this day, I know there will be moments when offense knocks at the door again. Someone will speak without care. A memory will rise unexpectedly. An old wound will twinge. When that happens, remind me that I have already chosen forgiveness. Help me renew that choice before anger takes root. Help me speak blessing where I would once have fallen silent. Let me be a peacemaker, not a grudge holder. Let me be a conduit of grace. Father, I believe that as forgiveness flows, so does freedom. You are not asking me to give something away and be left empty. You are inviting me to make room for joy, for healing, for new relationships untainted by old baggage, for a heart that can breathe again. I can already feel it beginning the shift inside. The opening, the lightness that forgiveness brings. It is not instant, but it is real. Let this day be different because I chose to forgive. Let my face reflect the release. Let my words carry less edge and more kindness. Let my body relax without the weight of bitterness pressing down. Let the relationships around me be affected, softened, restored, and if nothing changes externally, let everything change internally. Because even if they never say sorry, I will still be free. Because even if the wound left a scar, it no longer stings. Because even if the story remains, the ending is redemption, not resentment. Father, thank you for meeting me in this sacred surrender. I did not know how much I needed to let go until I finally did. Thank you for not rushing me, for waiting patiently until I was ready. Now that I am, I ask that you fill every space that bitterness once occupied with something better. Let forgiveness become not just what I offer, but who I am becoming. Let this be the key that opens every door I once thought was closed. Father, now that I have laid down bitterness and stepped into the freedom that forgiveness brings, I find a new clarity emerging. The space once filled with resentment is now open for something far more beautiful to take root. And what rises now is the invitation to gratitude, a gentle but powerful shift in how I see everything around me. Lord, I realize that without thankfulness, even the brightest blessing can feel dim. But when gratitude fills my vision, even the smallest gift becomes a reason for joy. God, I confess that it is so easy to drift in comparison without even noticing. I scroll. I listen. I observe. And slowly I begin to measure my life against the carefully chosen pieces of someone else's story. Their highlight reels make me question my process. Their achievements make me doubt my pace. Their applause makes me wonder if I am still unseen. And before I know it, I have forgotten what you are doing in me because I am too focused on what you are doing in others. But today, I stop that cycle. I recognize it for what it is, in an endless loop that leaves the soul hungry and restless. Father, comparison is a thief, and I am done letting it steal from me. It has taken joy that was meant to be mine. It has drowned out the sound of your kindness with the noise of envy. It has distorted my reflection until I could no longer see the grace uniquely written over my life. But you, Lord, are calling me back, not just to contentment, but to celebration, not just to acceptance, but to joy. Lord, I look around now with new eyes. I see the things I used to rush past, and I whisper thank you. Thank you for the way my body carried me through yesterday, even if I felt tired. Thank you for the roof over my head, the food on my table, the voice of someone who checked in. Thank you for the strength to rise again, for the chance to try, for the kindness that found me when I least expected it. These are not small things. They are sacred, and they remind me that I am already surrounded by goodness. God, I thank you for the journey you have me on, even when the path has felt slow, even when the steps have been uncertain. You have never left me. You have woven wisdom into delay, grown endurance through difficulty, and stretched my faith through silence. Help me not resent the process simply because it does not look like someone else's. Help me treasure the story you are writing in me, even when the chapters are unfolding quietly. Father, I choose today to name what is working instead of always rehearsing what feels lacking. I speak gratitude for what is blooming rather than frustration for what has not yet come. I will no longer allow dissatisfaction to set the tone of my heart. I will build an atmosphere of thanksgiving, one breath at a time. Let it begin in how I think, flow through how I speak, and color how I respond. When I am tempted to compare again, remind me of what it costs. It costs the peace you have given me. It costs the joy that belongs to this moment. It costs the connection I could be cultivating with you. Instead of asking, why not me? Let me say, thank you for what is mine. Let gratitude anchor me in the truth that you are doing a good work in me, even when it is quiet and unseen. Lord, I want to become the kind of person who notices, who sees the sunlight cutting through the window and gives thanks, who hears laughter in the background and pauses to be glad, who remembers that breath is a gift, that time is sacred, that presence is holy. I want to notice the person beside me and the grace in every interaction. I want to live as if nothing is owed, but everything is appreciated. Father, shift my internal posture from striving to savoring. Let my heart be satisfied not because I have everything, but because I recognize what I already hold. Let me linger in moments that might otherwise be rushed. Let me treasure the people who walk alongside me, not take them for granted. Let me slow down enough to say thank you with intention, not just routine. God, I thank you not only for what is present, but also for what is ahead. I choose to anticipate with hope rather than demand with anxiety. I will not grip tightly to outcomes or timetables. I will trust that whatever you are preparing for me is good, and that the waiting is not empty. Even in what I do not yet see, I say thank you for doors that will open, for healing that will come, for provision that is on the way. I give thanks in advance. Let gratitude protect me from the pressure to prove myself. Let it quiet the voice that says, I must be more to be worthy. Let it remind me that I am already loved, already chosen, already seen. Let it dissolve the insecurity that feeds comparison and plant in its place a deep and lasting confidence in who you say I am. As I move through this day, let me make thankfulness a habit in every small task, in every conversation, in every delay or surprise. Let gratitude be my response. Let it fill the spaces where frustration once lived. Let it soften my words, lighten my steps, and lift my spirit. Let it be contagious, spilling out into the lives around me. Lord, I ask for the grace to end each day the way I began it, in thanksgiving. Not because everything went according to plan, but because you were with me in every moment. Let my final thoughts tonight be filled with recognition of your faithfulness. Let my rest be wrapped in contentment. Let my heart remain open, thankful, and full of quiet joy. Father, as gratitude fills my heart and begins to shape my vision, I sense you calling me to pay closer attention to the words that leave my mouth. It is one thing to feel thankful, but another to express it, to let the language I speak match the faith I carry. I realize now that words are not just noise, they are seeds. And every sentence I release into this day carries the power to build or to break, to lift or to wound, to release life or to reinforce limitation. God, I ask you to teach me to speak as someone who believes you are near. Lord, there have been so many mornings when I woke with a good intention, only to let my tongue run ahead of my spirit. I have spoken quickly, defensively, impatiently. I have used sarcasm where gentleness was needed. I have declared discouragement before giving hope a chance to rise, and I have cursed my own situation by naming it with finality instead of faith. But today, I want something different. I want my voice to carry the sound of heaven. I want my speech to reflect trust, not tension. God, help me begin with the words I speak over myself. Too often I have repeated labels that were never mine to wear. I have said, I am not good enough, not ready, not capable. I have joked at my own expense, forgetting that even humor can plant harmful seeds. I have declared failure before trying. I have cursed what you were still in the process of redeeming. Forgive me for agreeing with defeat. Today, I speak a better word. I am loved. I am growing. I am being transformed. I am not who I was, and I am not yet who I will become, but I am yours. Father, I ask that you help me speak life, not only inwardly, but outwardly to those around me, especially when it is difficult. Remind me that every person I encounter is carrying something I cannot see. Let my words be gentle when irritation rises. Let them be healing when someone is hurting. Let them be quiet when silence is wiser than reaction. I do not want to use my voice to make a point. I want to use it to make peace. Lord, I bring to you the hidden habits in my speech, the complaining that sneaks in under the disguise of honesty, the gossip dressed up as concern, the subtle criticism I pass along because it makes me feel clever or connected, Strip those patterns away from me. Let no unwholesome talk take root in my mouth. Let no word rise that does not align with love, truth, or encouragement. Train my tongue the way you have been training my heart, slowly, deeply, and with lasting change. God, help me recognize that what I say shapes how I see. If I constantly speak lack, I will only see scarcity. If I speak fear, I will start to anticipate danger. If I rehearse pain, I will live in old wounds. But if I speak hope, I will begin to see your fingerprints, even in the unfinished parts of my story. If I speak peace, I will become a carrier of it. If I speak promise, I will start to live in its direction. Let every phrase I say be an act of planting, and let what grows bring glory to you. There is power in words that bless. Father, show me how to bless freely, not just in formal prayers, but in casual moments. Let me speak encouragement to the weary, affirmation to the overlooked, and truth to those who have forgotten their worth. Let my compliments be sincere, not strategic. Let my praise be generous, not performative. Let the people around me feel lighter because of what I chose to say today. Lord, I also ask for courage to speak words of faith over places that look barren. Over my finances, I speak abundance not as fantasy, but as expectation rooted in trust. Over my health, I speak renewal not as denial of symptoms, but as alignment with your power to restore. Over my family, I speak unity not because conflict never arises, but because reconciliation is always possible. Over my future, I speak purpose not because every detail is known, but because every step is held in your hands. Let my declarations agree with what you say, not just with what I see. Teach me to speak to the mountain, not just about it. To declare peace in the middle of the storm, not just describe the waves. To say, let there be light, even while standing in the dark. Because words are not just reflections of reality. They can also be the instruments that help shape it. God, I know there will be moments when I want to vent, when my tongue will ache to lash out, when anger or discouragement will push to the surface. Help me pause before I speak. You give me discernment in every conversation. Help me ask myself, is this true? Is this kind? Is this necessary? And when silence is more powerful than speech, give me the wisdom to hold my peace. Father, I do not want to curse what you are blessing. I do not want to tear down what you are building. Let my mouth become a stream of grace today. Let the words I speak behind closed doors match the ones I speak in the light. Let no duality live in me, only integrity, only truth, only love. As I begin this day, I surrender my voice to you, not just my thoughts, not just my actions, but my speech. Let it be used for healing, for clarity, for truth. Let it point others toward you. Let it remind them who they are. Let it carry the sound of faith even in uncertain places. Let it be the overflow of a heart that has been with you. And when I end this day, let me look back and know that what I said built bridges rather than walls, lifted hearts instead of heavying them, and called forth life rather than rehearsing defeat. Let my words bless this day from beginning to end. God, As I have given you my words and asked for my speech to be filled with life, I now realize how deeply those words are connected to what I think. What flows from my mouth first begins in my mind. And so this morning, I bring you the place where so much of the battle begins, the quiet, invisible terrain of my thoughts. Father, I know you care about what I meditate on, not only because it shapes my emotions, but because it sets the course for my entire life. Lord, my thoughts have often run wild. I have allowed them to wander unchecked, believing that if no one hears them, they do no harm. But now I see that even silent thoughts have power. They can nurture peace or fuel fear. They can cultivate faith or dig trenches of anxiety. They can align with truth or entangle me in lies. I am beginning to understand that the atmosphere of my inner life is not something to ignore. And today, I want to surrender it fully to you. Father, show me the patterns that have been quietly stealing from me. The loops of doubt that whisper, I am not enough. The assumptions that paint worst-case scenarios before I have even taken the first step. The inner judgments that criticize every attempt at growth. These thoughts have become so familiar, I have mistaken them for truth. But I want to break agreement with them. I no longer want to entertain thoughts that are not rooted in who you say I am. God, I ask for clarity. Help me recognize the thoughts that need to go. Give me discernment to spot the lies quickly, so they do not take root. And once I recognize them, give me the courage to replace them with truth, even when the truth feels unfamiliar. Let my mind become a place where your promises take up permanent residence. Let every false narrative lose its grip in the light of who you are. There are days when fear tries to build a home in my thinking. It starts small, a what if, a quiet dread, a memory of pain. And before I know it, I have stepped into agreement with worry. Father, I ask that you guard my mind today like a gatekeeper. Let no anxious thought pass without permission. Let every imagination be weighed. Let me take captive what tries to exalt itself above the peace you freely offer. Lord, I do not want to be driven by assumption, suspicion, or pessimism. I want to live with a sound mind, a mind that expects good, a mind that rests in your ability to lead me. When confusion creeps in, be the still voice that clears the fog. When overthinking threatens to spiral, break the loop with truth. Remind me that I do not have to solve every scenario or pre-plan every outcome to feel safe. I only need to trust that you are already ahead of me. Father, I also bring to you the thoughts I think toward others. I confess that I have too quickly assumed motive, assigned blame, or judged from a distance. My thoughts have built stories that were never real, and those stories have built barriers between me and people I should love better. Teach me to think kindly, to give the benefit of the doubt, to let compassion interrupt criticism, even when no one hears it but me. Let my internal dialogue reflect the grace you have shown me. Let it be full of patience for my process, full of belief that change is possible, full of reminders that failure is not final. Teach me to preach to myself when my thoughts grow heavy. Let Scripture rise inside me like a steady voice in the middle of mental noise. Let your truth echo louder than fear or fatigue. God, I ask you to rewire the way I process my days. When I face challenges, let my first thought be that I am not alone. When I encounter difficulty, let my mind turn to prayer before panic. When I feel overwhelmed, let the memory of past faithfulness become my anchor. Transform my reflexes so that trust becomes my natural response. Build a new default in me, a thought life rooted in renewal. Let this renewal not just be for a moment, but a practice, a habit of daily exchange lies for truth, fear for faith, heaviness for hope. Let me feed my mind with what is good. Let me dwell on things that bring life. Help me catch myself when old narratives try to play again, and give me the strength to press stop, to speak what is better, to think what is higher. Father, I know that thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs become behaviors. So I ask for help in this foundation. Let me think like someone who is loved. Let me think like someone who is free. Let me think like someone who expects redemption in every area touched by brokenness. Let me think like someone who belongs to a kingdom, not shaken by what surrounds me. And when the thoughts come that I do not know how to handle, the ones too deep, too complicated, too painful to sort through alone, remind me that I can bring even those to you. I do not need to have perfect clarity before I come. I only need to be willing to invite you in, so I do that now. I open every room of my mind to you. Every worry, every assumption, every loop of regret or longing. Take it all. Fill it with light. Speak what is true. As I walk into this day, I ask you to be the filter on my thoughts. Let your presence quiet the lies before they find a voice. Let your peace interrupt every spiral before it gains momentum. Let joy take up residence where sadness tried to settle. Let truth push back every shadow of confusion. And let my thoughts prepare the way for a day lived with clarity, calm, and holy expectation. Father, as you continue to renew my thoughts and reshape the way I see, I begin to feel a quiet nudge toward places I have avoided for too long. Beneath my daily patterns, beneath the progress and growth, there are still parts of me that ache. Memories that have not been touched in years, wounds that were never named aloud. Some I tried to forget, others I simply learned to live around. But now, in this space of truth and trust, I believe you are inviting me to return, not to relive the pain, but to allow you to redeem it. Lord, there are moments in my story that still carry weight. The words spoken over me that I wish I could unhear. The seasons where loneliness settled like a fog. The disappointments that left deeper marks than I ever admitted. I know you were there. I know you saw it all. But I also know that I did not always invite you into the experience itself. I walked through it silently, assuming healing would come with time. But some wounds need more than time. They need light. They need presence. They need you. So today, I open the door. I bring you the scenes that still stir something inside me when I remember. The classroom where I first felt invisible. The hospital room where I whispered desperate prayers. The silence after the phone call that changed everything. The moment I realized someone I trusted was not coming back. I bring them without trying to explain them, justify them, or frame them neatly. I bring them because you are gentle, and you are safe, and you know how to hold what still feels too tender. God, I ask you to step into those places with me, not just in theory, but in memory. Show me where you were when I thought I was alone. Show me what you were doing when it felt like nothing good could ever come of the pain. Let me sense your presence where I once only felt absence. Let me see your compassion in the scenes where shame tried to build its home. And let me begin to rewrite those moments not by erasing them, but by letting them be viewed through the lens of your love. Lord, I want to stop rehearsing pain without purpose. I do not want to keep telling myself stories that end in loss, defeat, or abandonment. I want to let you shape the narrative, to transform wounds into wisdom, to turn pain into empathy, to teach me how the very places I have tried to forget could become the very places you use to bring healing to others. But I know that starts with letting you touch them first. Father, I also bring you the emotions that those memories still stir, the anger that never found release, the sorrow that sat too long in silence, the confusion that led to distance between us. I bring every emotion, even the ones I was taught to hide. I bring them not to dwell in them, but to surrender them, because if I do not give them to you, they will keep showing up in other places: my relationships, my choices, my view of myself. But when I place them in your hands, I believe they can be transformed. God, I know that healing may not look like forgetting. It may not come in a single moment, but I ask for movement. I ask for a shift. Let today be a turning point, even if it is subtle. Let this be the day the wound stops defining me. Let this be the day I stop managing pain and start experiencing freedom. Let this be the day I believe that even the deepest ache can be met with healing stronger than the hurt. There are things I may never understand, but I do not have to understand to be made whole. I only need to trust that you are the healer, that you are faithful, and that you are near. You do not rush me. You do not minimize what I carry. You simply wait for me to let you in. And so I do. I let you in, into the places I buried, into the questions I was afraid to ask, into the history I tried to outgrow. I let you in not because I want to relive it, but because I want to be free from its hold. Lord, show me what you want me to remember. The strength I discovered when I thought I was weak. The resilience that grew in the shadow of pain. The people you sent to comfort me when I thought no one noticed. The way you protected me from things I did not even see. Let those be the memories that shape me now. Let those be the moments I carry forward. And if some wounds still feel raw, help me be patient with the process. Help me not compare my healing to someone else's. Help me honor the pace of grace. Some days will feel like victory. Others will feel like surrender. Both are sacred. Both are part of the journey. Remind me that healing is not the absence of pain, but the presence of peace within it. Father, I ask that you help me release any shame I have tied to my past. The belief that what happened disqualified me. The fear that if others knew my story, they would pull away. Replace that shame with dignity. Replace hiding with honesty. Replace silence with testimony. Let me walk in the truth that nothing in my past can separate me from your love, and nothing in my story is too broken to be redeemed. As I move forward, teach me how to live as someone who has been healed. Let my compassion run deeper because I remember. Let my wisdom ring truer because I endured. Let my kindness extend further because I understand. And let my life be a quiet but powerful witness to the one who heals not just bodies, but memories, not just symptoms, but roots. Father, after walking with you through the quiet corridors of my past, I feel something shifting inside. Where once there was hesitation, there is now room for boldness. Where fear lived unchecked, faith is beginning to rise. As you have helped me heal what was hidden, you are now calling me to face what lies ahead. But not in the same way I used to, not with dread, not with shrinking back, but with new eyes, with courage, with the kind of vision that sees giants differently. Lord, there are things I need to do that stretch me, conversations that feel too hard, steps that seem too steep, opportunities that look bigger than what I think I can carry. It would be easy to stay where it is safe, to settle for manageable. But I know deep down that you did not create me for comfort zones. You designed me to walk in promise, to step into territory that requires trust, to face things that look intimidating and declare that they will not define me. God, I remember how easily fear disguises itself as wisdom, how quickly I can label caution as discernment when it is really just avoidance. But you are showing me that faith is not reckless, and courage is not carelessness. It is seeing clearly what stands before me, and still choosing to move forward, not because I am strong, but because you are. Not because I feel ready, but because I know you go before me. Father, I ask you to train my eyes to see differently. Help me stop fixating on obstacles and begin focusing on outcomes. When I see something that feels too big, remind me that it is not a barrier. It is a threshold. Remind me that I do not need to be confident in my own ability. I need to be confident in your promise. And that promise is not fragile. It does not bend when circumstances shift. It does not disappear when enemies seem large. Your word is steady, and you are not intimidated by anything that intimidates me. Lord, I think of how many times I have turned away from opportunity because it did not look easy. How often I have missed open doors because I saw the effort it would require. I confess that I have sometimes chosen comfort over calling, but no more. Not today. I choose to believe that every challenge is an invitation, that the opposition I face is often a sign of the importance of what lies on the other side, that the giants I see are not stronger than the God who walks beside me. Give me courage to step forward even when I do not have every answer, even when the numbers do not add up, even when others do not understand. Let my heart lean into the risk, not with recklessness, but with holy determination. Let me trust that what you call me to, you also equip me for, that I was not made to shrink back in fear, but to move forward in quiet confidence. God, I bring before you the specific giants I see right now, the situations that feel too big, the voices that speak against me, the odds that seem stacked high. I name them not to magnify them, but to place them in perspective. They are real, but they are not eternal. They are loud, but they are not Lord. And with you, I am not outnumbered. With you, I am never alone. Father, teach me to speak differently in the face of opposition. Let my declarations not reflect the size of the problem, but the size of your power. Let my language shift from what if I fail to what if you move. Let my mindset shift from I can to you can through me. Let my posture shift from fear to expectancy. Let me declare over every challenge that the ground I walk on is promised land, and I am not here to retreat. Lord, I also pray for courage in the quiet places, not just in the public steps of faith, but in the internal decisions. The courage to forgive again. The courage to let go of what no longer serves your purpose. The courage to rest when everything tells me I should keep running. The courage to wait when I want to rush. The courage to show up when I feel unseen. Let boldness live not just in my actions, but in my attitude. Let me remember that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward anyway. That you never promised ease, but you always promised presence. That you never guaranteed I would avoid pressure, but you did guarantee I would not be crushed. So when the pressure builds, let that be the place where courage is born. God, I thank you that every giant I face today is an opportunity to grow, to trust, to see you move. I do not want to spend this day waiting for fear to leave before I obey. I want to obey in the presence of fear, believing that obedience is what causes fear to lose its grip. Let my yes be louder than my hesitation. Let my steps be steady, not because I know everything, but because I know you are leading. Father, remind me that courage is contagious, that when I rise, others are watching. When I speak faith, it stirs faith in them. When I do the hard thing, it gives others permission to do the same. Let my life be a living testimony of what happens when ordinary people trust an extraordinary God. Let my legacy not be safety, but surrender. Not avoidance, but obedience. As I face this day, let my heart beat with courage. Let my words reflect bravery. Let my thoughts echo trust. Let my hands act in faith. And when doubt tries to settle, let your voice be louder. Let it remind me that I was not created to hide from giants, but to walk through valleys and come out stronger. That I was not made for easy, but for eternal. That I am not alone, not forgotten, not too weak. I am called, I am chosen, and I am walking forward one bold step at a time. Lord, as I continue walking this road of courage, I feel the tension that often comes with it, the uneasiness of not knowing what comes next. The quiet whisper of doubt that lingers behind bold decisions. The tremble of a heart that wants to trust, but still feels the weight of what it cannot see. It is in this vulnerable place that I come to you today, asking not for guarantees, but for peace. A peace that does not need answers to rest. A peace that lives deeper than the questions. A peace that holds steady when everything around me shifts. Father, I admit that my heart has often been drawn to clarity more than calm. I have believed that if I just had enough information, I would be able to settle. But you are showing me something better, something richer than control and more enduring than prediction. You are teaching me that peace is not the product of perfect circumstances. It is the presence of your voice in the storm. It is the calm that comes not because things are certain, but because you are constant. God, I confess that I have spent too much energy trying to forecast what might go wrong instead of anchoring myself in what I know is right, your character, your kindness, your ability to redeem anything. I have allowed what-ifs to shape my mood, to erode my hope, to steal my stillness. But today, I choose a better way. I choose to lay down the urge to control what I cannot change. I choose to trade the illusion of safety for the truth of your sovereignty. I choose to rest, not in understanding, but in trust. Let your peace flood the places in me where tension lives, where my thoughts run ahead and script every scenario. Slow them down with your stillness, where my emotions spike at every uncertain detail. Calm them with your assurance, where my spirit stirs with anxiety I cannot explain. Settle me with your embrace. Let your peace not just touch the surface of my mind, but go deep into the chambers of my soul, where fear tries to nest. Let it sink into my breathing, my pace, my decisions, my posture. Lord, help me recognize when I have let chaos become familiar, when I have mistaken constant movement for progress, when I have allowed business to mask the unrest within. Give me the wisdom to pause, to breathe, to be still, even when the world demands action. Let me learn the sacred rhythm of surrender, where my strength is not found in striving, but in staying grounded in you. Remind me that stillness is not weakness, that quiet is not passivity, that calm is not complacency. It is power held in peace. Teach me to anchor myself in your promises when I feel tossed by the winds of delay, of doubt, of discouragement. Let me reach for your word and hold it close. Let it become my internal compass, not just a verse I quote, but a truth I embody. Let me sit with it until it rewrites the story in my mind and reshapes the story I tell myself about who I am and how this ends. Let peace grow from that place, authentic, immovable, unshaken. Father, help me stop measuring peace by external validation. Let me not wait for applause, for perfect outcomes, or for things to go my way before I choose calm. Let my soul learn to sing in the silence, to find joy not only when the doors open, but even while they are still closed. Let me understand that peace is not delayed until the blessing arrives. It is part of the blessing. It is the atmosphere where miracles begin to take root. It is the whisper that tells my heart, even in the waiting, I am held. When the unknown stretches wide before me, let me not shrink back. Let me enter it slowly, steadily, with eyes fixed on you. Let me not interpret silence as absence. Let me not equate delay with denial. Let me trust that you are just as present in the questions as you are in the answers, just as near in the shadows as you are in the light. Let me not need all the details to know I am being led. Let my pieces not be circumstantial, but relational, anchored not in what I know, but in who I know. Lord, I bring before you the things that feel unsettled, the parts of my life where I have more questions than clarity, the situations where outcomes are unclear. I lay them down, not to forget them, but to place them into better hands. I ask you to exchange my panic for peace, my spiraling thoughts for quiet focus, my need for control for the gift of contentment. Let me be okay with not knowing, because I know the one who does. Give me the strength to carry peace into my relationships. Let me be a calming presence to those around me, not one who adds noise, but one who brings stillness. Let my words soothe rather than stir. Let my presence bring clarity, not confusion. Let peace be the mark I leave on rooms I enter. Let it spill over from my internal world into my environment. Let it shape the way I lead, the way I listen, the way I live. Father, protect my peace from comparison that makes me question if I am enough, from pressure that tells me I should be further ahead, from perfectionism that whispers nothing is ever good enough. Let me guard what you have planted in me. Let me nourish it daily with truth, with gratitude, with rest. Let me not chase after what disturbs my peace, just to meet a standard you never set. Let me slow down enough to enjoy where I am, while still trusting where I am going. Remind me that peace is not passive, it is a choice, a discipline, a mindset, something I cultivate with each decision to trust instead of worry, to listen instead of react, to surrender instead of strive. Let me practice peace even in moments that do not feel peaceful. Let me carry it like a lantern in the night, guiding me forward when the path is dim. Let me wear it like armor, shielding me from panic and fear. And even if things around me remain unpredictable, let my soul be anchored. Let my mind be sound. Let my heart be quiet. Let me wake up not driven by urgency, but guided by peace. Let it go before me like a shield, and behind me like a song. Let it be the rhythm of my morning and the melody of my night. Let it remind me that the one who leads me is not rushed, not shaken, not nervous. He is peace, and he is mine. Father, as the quiet of peace settles deeper into my soul, I find my heart drawn toward a new rhythm, one that hums with thankfulness, even in places that still feel uncertain. It is not a loud or flashy kind of gratitude, but a quiet, steady acknowledgement that even here, even now, there is beauty I cannot afford to overlook. That even in waiting, in wondering, in walking through moments that do not yet make sense, there are gifts tucked into the folds of every day. And so I open this morning with a simple offering. Thank you. Thank you not only for what is easy to see, but for the blessings that hide behind ordinary routines, for breath in my lungs when I wake, for the sound of a world still spinning while I sleep, for the gentle nudges of grace that keep showing up without needing permission, for the small kindnesses that go unnoticed by the world, but never pass unseen by you. Let my eyes sharpen to catch every flicker of your love disguised as daily life. Lord, I confess how easily I have trained my eyes to see what is missing, how quickly I notice what has not happened yet, what has not changed, what still feels undone. But you are retraining me, teaching me to see with new eyes, eyes that look not just for the extraordinary, but for the evidence of your nearness in the ordinary, in the laugh of a child, in the quiet support of a friend, in the meals that appear, the roofs that hold, the moments of rest that feel like undeserved mercy. There is so much I have taken for granted, And today I want to reverse that. I want to name the gifts instead of the gaps. God, thank you for the seasons I did not understand at the time. The delays I once resented but now recognize as protection. The closed doors that made room for better ones to open. The people who walked away, making space for those who truly see me. The challenges that strengthened muscles I did not know I had. Let me not only be grateful for the outcomes, but for the process that shaped me along the way. Let me stop seeing discomfort as failure and start recognizing it as fertile ground for growth. There are still places in me that resist gratitude when the road feels rough, when prayers are still unanswered, when breakthrough seems distant. And yet, even here, you are faithful. So I choose to thank you before the change comes. I choose to thank you while the need still lingers, not because I am pretending the hard things do not exist, but because I believe you are still working in the tension. I trust that unseen does not mean unfelt, and delayed does not mean denied. I thank you not for perfection, but for presence. Let me become fluent in the language of thankfulness. Not just when things go right, but especially when they do not. Let me wake up rehearsing what is good before I worry about what is wrong. Let me speak blessing over my day before it begins. Let gratitude shape the way I respond to people. Even when they challenge me, let it guide the way I process disappointment, reminding me that something better is still unfolding. Let it frame my perspective so that I do not just look ahead with anxiety, but with anticipation. Lord, teach me how to be grateful for people, not only for those who bring ease, but for those who sharpen me. Thank you for the ones who mirror my joy, who celebrate my wins, who hold space for my tears. And thank you, too, for the ones who test my patience, who expose my pride, who challenge my assumptions. Let me not resent them, but see them as teachers in the classroom of grace. Let me learn to thank you not just for comfort, but for refinement. There is a depth to gratitude that goes beyond polite words. It is a posture, a way of walking through the world with hands unclenched and eyes lifted. A willingness to believe that no moment is wasted. A decision to see each day not as something to survive, but as something sacred. Let me live from that place. Let thankfulness not be a reaction, but a foundation. Not something I remember only on good days, but something I carry through every season, especially the quiet, hidden ones. Father, help me stop measuring blessings by size or speed. Help me notice the slow miracles, the ones that take time to grow, the ones unfolding beneath the surface, the ones too quiet for applause, but no less holy. Let me give thanks for the prayers I forgot I prayed, that you are still answering. Let me give thanks for the work you are doing behind the scenes, in places I can yet see. Let me give thanks that while I wait, I am being prepared for more than I can imagine. And in the moments when gratitude does not come easily, when grief is loud, when joy feels far, give me the courage to thank you anyway. Not because I have to fake it, because there is power in choosing thankfulness when I feel weakest. There is healing in giving thanks when nothing makes sense. There is breakthrough in remembering that you are still good, even when the circumstances are not. Let my thankfulness become an act of defiance against despair. Lord, Let this morning be the kind that recalibrates my heart. Let it reset my eyes to see you again. Clearly, kindly, consistently moving even in silence. Let the gratitude I offer today ripple into the hours that follow, into the way I speak to others, into the way I carry myself through tasks, into the way I show up when no one is watching. Let my life become a living thank you note written not just in words, but in how I live, how I love, how I hold space for others. Thank you for the grace to begin again each morning, for the mercy that met me before my alarm ever sounded, for the kindness that does not wait for my perfection. Thank you for being the kind of God who does not grow weary of my questions, who does not withdraw in my weakness, who welcomes my wandering heart with arms open wide. Let that be enough to steady me today. Let the echo of thankfulness ring louder than the noise of fear. Let it calm the restlessness that tries to take root. Let it remind me that I am not forgotten, not forsaken, not overlooked, that in every twist of the path, there is something to be found, a lesson, a grace, a reminder that I am not walking alone. Even when I cannot see the full picture, I can thank you for the brushstrokes. Father, may this kind of thankfulness become my new normal, not an occasional response, but a lifestyle. Let me return to it again and again, especially when the world tries to distract me with scarcity, urgency, or comparison. Let me return to thankfulness like a familiar trail, one I have walked so many times it becomes second nature. Let it be my response to both celebration and setback. Let it be the thread that weaves through everything else. So today, I do not wait for something grand to happen before I give thanks. I thank you now for the breath in my lungs, for the sun rising whether I notice it or not, for the unseen protection around me, for the way your love shows up in both subtle glances and undeniable waves, for the sacred ordinary, for the hope that holds, for the peace that stayed, for the joy that flickers even in quiet corners. I thank you, God, not just for what I can name, but for what I can feel, the steady presence of a Father who never leaves, never changes, never stops loving. Lord, I come again, with the same heart you have patiently carried, only now it beats a little slower, a little softer. The H of striving has loosened its grip, and in its place, a stillness remains. It is not yet peace, but perhaps it is the soil where peace begins to grow. I feel you drawing me not with shouts or force, but with the quiet pull of your voice, barely above a whisper, yet stronger than my fears. You do not demand. You invite. And in that invitation, I begin to understand restoration does not rush in like a flood. It seeps in like dew, gentle, unnoticed at first, but deeply nourishing. There is something about silence, God, that I once feared. I used to think it meant absence, that when I could not hear you clearly, you had walked away. But now I see you dwell in the silence too, speaking in ways beyond sound, a breeze that brushes past my face and reminds me I am not forgotten, a memory that brings warmth instead of regret, a tear that falls not in sorrow but in release. This is your language of restoration, spoken in gestures and impressions and gentle shifts of my spirit. And though it is subtle, I know it is you, because no one else can mend me without breaking me further. Lord, today, I do not ask for anything loud or obvious. I ask to notice what you are already doing. Let me recognize the repairs you are making in the quiet corners of my soul. The ones that do not show up on the surface, but change everything underneath. Help me stop chasing after dramatic signs and learn to trust the way you work through slow growth, through unseen roots, through the restoration of what I thought was beyond repair. I used to come to you with blueprints, demanding you build what I had envisioned. But now I hand you the rubble and simply ask you to do what you do best, make beauty from ashes. I do not need to understand the design. I only need to know it is yours, for if the outcome bears your fingerprints, then even if it looks different from my expectations, it will be more perfect than I could have imagined. God, I confess how often I have sabotaged my own healing, expecting it to come all at once or in the way I wanted. I judged your timing as delay. I mistook your silence for disinterest. But I see now you are working in the background, preparing a place for wholeness to take root. You were softening the soil of my stubbornness, pruning the dead branches I clung to out of habit. It was not punishment, it was preparation. I see that now, and it humbles me. The voice of restoration does not shame me for being broken. It does not scold me for having fallen. It simply says, "Let us begin again." And you, Lord, you speak that phrase not once, not twice, but as many times as I need to hear it. You never tire of beginning again. Your mercy is new with the morning, and I am allowed to be new with it. You do not treat me as my wounds deserve. You treat me as one already redeemed, already chosen, already held. Even now, I feel you drawing near not to fix me, but to be with me. You are not in a rush to get me to some final version of myself. You are more invested in walking with me than arriving at a destination, and that truth begins to free me. I do not have to prove I am better today. I only have to stay with you. Let that be enough. Let presence become the miracle. Lord, for all the places in me that still feel jagged, I ask for softness. For all the stories I have written in bitterness, I ask for a new ending. For all the walls I have built in fear, I ask for the courage to let them fall. And where restoration feels impossible, remind me that with you, nothing is, not because I can fix it, but because you can. Thank you for not rushing me. Thank you for not forcing a healing I was not ready to receive. Thank you for staying when I was hard to love. And thank you for every moment ahead when you will keep doing the same. I may not understand the full plan, but I trust the heart behind it. So let this be my prayer. Restore me in your time, your way, and for your glory. Not so I can impress anyone, not so I can check healing off a list, but so I can love you more purely, live more freely, and reflect the kindness you have shown me. Because if you, the maker of the stars, consider me worth restoring, then who am I to argue? Father, as I continue to follow the gentle thread of your restoration, I sense you now calling me to release, not with fear or shame, but with grace. You have tended to the fragile places, mended what could be mended, And now you whisper again, not to fix, but to free. There is something sacred in surrender, something holy in letting go. And I feel you drawing me into that deeper layer. I am learning that restoration is not only about rebuilding what was broken, but also about removing what was never meant to remain. And in that, you ask me not only to receive but to release. The weight of old identities clings to me like layers of clothing I no longer need, roles I adopted out of survival, labels I wore to feel accepted, expectations I carried so long they became part of me. But you never asked me to wear them. You only asked me to be yours. And now I see how holding on to what no longer serves my soul is not loyalty, it is bondage. You are not asking me to betray my past, but to trust that I am no longer bound to it. That who I was is not who I have to be. That I am allowed to grow beyond what once defined me. God, I offer you the pieces that I have clung to out of fear. The relationships that drained instead of nourished. The beliefs that shamed instead of shaped. The habits that numbed instead of healed. I release the need to be perfect. The obsession with outcomes. The fear of not being enough. I set down the stories I have told myself that I am too late, too flawed, too forgotten. I offer them to you, not because I have nowhere else to put them, but because you are the only one who can turn ashes into meaning. You are not a God who condemns the letting go. You are the one who reminds me that the branch must release the dead leaf so that new growth can come. You are the one who prunes not to punish, but to prepare. And so, I begin to see release not as loss, but as sacred alignment. You are not emptying me to leave me barren. You are clearing space so I can be filled with something far better, something that fits, something that reflects who I am becoming, not who I used to be. And yet, letting go is not always immediate. Sometimes it is a process of layers. Sometimes it means returning to the same altar again and again, loosening my grip one finger at a time. So I ask you to be patient with me. Remind me that I do not have to be fearless to be faithful. That trembling hands can still surrender. That even when I do not feel strong, the very act of trying to let go is a holy offering. It is a gesture of trust, a declaration that I believe in the life you are writing for me, even if I do not yet understand its plot. Help me to stop idolizing the past, especially the parts that were comfortable but unhealthy. Help me to stop mourning what you already freed me from. Let me walk away without resentment, without bitterness, without the desire to explain myself to anyone who was never meant to understand my calling. Let the exits be clean, the boundaries be clear, and the peace be deeper than the need for closure. For in you, I find the only closure that matters, knowing I am seen, known, and still chosen. You are teaching me that there is courage in soft things, in forgiveness, in grief, in saying goodbye without hating what I leave behind. There is courage in choosing peace over pride, silence over reaction, stillness over striving. And sometimes, the most powerful move is not to force a door open, but to walk away from it when it no longer leads to life. I do not have to make everything right. I do not have to fix what others broke. I only have to say yes to what you are unfolding now. So today, I give you my hands. Whatever they are holding that you never asked me to carry, show me how to release it. And whatever I need to receive in its place, I open myself to it. I will not fear the empty space, for you have shown me again and again that you are a God who fills. Not randomly, not carelessly, but precisely, abundantly, and with compassion that knows no bounds. Let this surrender be a turning point, not a breakdown. Let it be a gentle falling away of what was never mine to keep. Let it be the holy undoing of what I once believed about success, love, healing, and even about you. Strip away the versions of you that I made in my own image. Reveal again who you truly are, not just my restorer, but my freedom giver, my burden bearer, my unraveler of chains. And as I walk forward with lighter steps, show me how to live unencumbered. Teach me to resist the urge to fill every space with noise or plans or proof. Let me become comfortable with the in-between, trusting that your hands are still shaping what I cannot yet see. Let peace be my compass, not pressure. Let trust be my rhythm, not fear. And if I must grieve the release, then let it be a grief bathed in hope, not despair. You are not finished with me. You are only getting started, and as long as I walk with you, even my letting go will lead to life, not because I forced it to, but because you are the giver of every new beginning. Lord, in the quiet aftermath of surrender, I feel the space you have cleared inside me. The release of what no longer serves has left behind not emptiness, but openness. And now, in this tender place, you invite me to walk forward into what I cannot yet see. You are not just asking me to let go, you are asking me to trust where you are leading next. And that, I confess, is where the trembling begins again, not in the release, but in the stepping forward, in the unknown, in the unfolding. But you are not the God of confusion or chaos. You are the God of quiet assurance. And while you rarely give me the full map, you always offer enough light for the next step. You are not dangling my future like a puzzle to solve, but holding it like a gift to unwrap, one layer at a time. You do not demand that I have it all figured out. You only ask that I walk with you into what is next, believing that you have already gone before me. So here I am, Lord, standing at the threshold, the past behind me, the future unrevealed, and the now this sacred in between, where I meet you again. I know you are not rushing me. I know you are not disappointed in my hesitation. I know you are patient with my fear. And still, you invite me, not with pressure, but with promise, not with deadlines, but with destiny. Help me to walk into the unknown with courage, even if my steps are small. Help me to believe that courage is not loud or flashy. Sometimes it is just the quiet decision to keep showing up, to keep saying yes, to keep believing there is more, even when I cannot name it. You are not asking me to fake confidence, only to hold your hand. And in that closeness, fear begins to lose its grip. I do not know what lies ahead, but I know who walks with me. You are not watching from a distance. You are beside me in the silence, in the waiting, in the wondering. You are not promising ease, but you are promising presence, and that changes everything. Because when you are near, the darkness becomes less threatening, and the unknown becomes less terrifying. You are not hiding the future to frustrate me. You are shaping my faith to prepare me. God, I confess that sometimes I try to predict what you are doing, not because I do not trust you, but because I crave control. But you are not asking me to predict. You are inviting me to participate, to let go of the illusion that I must have all the answers before I take the first step. To remember that obedience rarely makes sense before the blessing comes. That clarity often follows surrender, not the other way around. You remind me that every great story begins in the unknown. Abraham did not know where he was going. Moses did not know how the sea would part. Mary did not know how her yes would reshape the world, but they walked. They trusted. They leaned in, and so must I. You have not changed. You still lead through whispers, still guide through shadows, still create beauty out of uncertainty. Let me be brave enough to not need every answer. Let me be faithful enough to trust your timing. Let me be still enough to hear your direction, even if it comes as a nudge, not a command. I do not need a thunderous voice. I just need a steady heart. And you, God, are the one who steadies me. You quiet the panic. You calm the spinning. You bring me back to the present and remind me this moment is not the whole picture. It is just the doorway. And if I stumble as I walk forward, remind me that missteps are not failures. They are part of the journey. You do not demand perfection, only presence. You do not withhold your love until I get it right. You meet me in the mess, in the doubt, in the trying. You are the one who turns detours into discoveries, and setbacks into stories of redemption. You are never threatened by my weakness. So I ask for courage, not the kind that silences fear, but the kind that carries me through it. Courage that shows up when I feel small. Courage that stays when the path twists and turns. Courage that believes your goodness is not dependent on my understanding. I want to walk with wonder, not just calculation, to dream again, not just analyze, to hope wildly, even when logic says otherwise. Fill me with bold expectation, not the anxious kind that demands specifics, but the holy kind that leans into mystery. Let me live in the freedom of not knowing, because I am anchored in the one who knows all. Let the unknown become my sanctuary, not my enemy, a place where faith flourishes, not falters, a space where I do not have to perform or prove, only breathe and believe. And as I move forward, even in small ways, let every step be a declaration, a statement of trust, a surrender of control, a sacred agreement that even when I do not know where I am going, I know who is guiding me. You are not preparing me for a destination alone. You are transforming me along the way. The path itself is holy because you walk it with me. Even when the road feels hidden, even when the answers do not come, even when the outcome is unclear, you remain constant. You remain kind. And that is enough. I do not need to fear what I cannot see, because you are already there. You are weaving it all together, not just for my good, but for your glory. And that makes the unknown not just bearable, but beautiful. Let me meet the mystery not with resistance, but with reverence. Let my heart say yes, even when my mind craves clarity. Let me trust that you are not leading me into confusion, but into deeper dependence. And if the way forward feels slow or winding, remind me that you are not in a hurry, that growth takes time, that transformation often looks like waiting, listening, stretching, and so I walk, eyes open, hands unclenched, heart awake, not because I know what is coming, but because I know you, and that knowing is enough to move forward. Father, as I continue walking with you through this journey of trust and unfolding, I now find myself pausing not from doubt, but from awe. After stepping into the unknown with trembling courage, I feel you calling me not to strive, but to rest, not to push forward in my own strength, but to lean back into your sustaining grace. You are not just the God who leads through storms. You are the God who whispers peace in the stillness. And today, you are inviting me to experience something deeper than movement. You are inviting me to abide. It is not a passive kind of rest you offer. It is a holy, rooted, anchored place in your presence. It is not about disengagement or delay. It is about alignment. You are realigning my soul not around performance or urgency, but around your heartbeat. I do not have to hustle to earn your affection. I do not have to prove my faith through exhaustion. You are teaching me that true strength flows from stillness, that abiding in you is the source, not the reward, of my fruitfulness. So I breathe deep and unclench the part of me that still wants to do more. Be more. Fix more. You are not impressed by my activity. You are moved by my availability. You see beneath the layers I hide behind the good intentions, the admirable drive, and you gently peel them back until what is left is just me. And in that exposed place, you meet me with kindness. You remind me that I am not defined by how much I accomplish today. I am defined by whose I am, and I am yours, God. You know how often I equate rest with weakness. You know how easily I fall into the trap of equating business with value. But you keep dismantling that illusion. You keep bringing me back to your example. Even you, the creator of the universe, paused. You rested, not out of depletion, but out of completion. You declared the work good, and then you made space for stillness. That rhythm was never meant to be broken, and yet I have spent so long running past it. Teach me how to live from a place of rest, not just observe it as a moment, but carry it as a posture. Let rest be the soil from which my decisions grow. Let peace be the compass, not the reward. I do not want to live in cycles of burnout and recovery. I want to live in constant communion, steady and present. Show me how to say no when needed, without guilt. Show me how to release what you never asked me to carry. Remind me that some doors close not because I failed, but because you are protecting my soul. You are not hurried, Lord. You are never anxious or pressed for time. And because I walk with you, I do not have to be either. I can breathe slowly, love deeply, and trust that what matters will not be missed. You are bigger than my deadlines. You are stronger than my urgency. You are more committed to my purpose than I am. And when I feel pulled in too many directions, you gently bring me back to center. The world around me celebrates speed and productivity, but you invite me to a different rhythm, one marked by grace, margin, and rest. This is not laziness. This is obedience. This is trust in action. This is saying with my time what my words claim to believe, that you are enough, and that I am enough in you. Let that truth soak deep into my bones until I stop striving to earn what you have already freely given. Father, I surrender the pressure I put on myself to always be doing something. I lay down the burden of comparison, of proving, of chasing after affirmation. I do not want to impress people. I want to please you, and you are pleased when I choose to be with you more than I try to work for you. My value does not increase when I do more. It becomes more visible when I remember who I already am, a beloved child, fully known and fully loved. And in this place of rest, you begin to speak in ways I have not heard before. The noise of striving has quieted, and now I hear your heartbeat again. It is steady, it is strong, it is unwavering. You remind me that you are not measuring my success in completed checklists, but in surrendered moments. And in the silence of rest, you begin to show me things I was too busy to see before. New ideas take root. Old wounds begin to heal. Wisdom emerges not from stress, but from stillness. I thank you, Lord, that rest is not a detour. It is part of the path. It is not weakness. It is warfare against a culture that tells me I am only as valuable as I am useful. You cut through that lie with truth that sets me free. You are not just a God of power. You are a God of peace. You are not just a mighty lion. You are a gentle shepherd. And as your sheep, I can lie down in green pastures without fear, because you are with me. Let me not be ashamed of rest. Let me not apologize for soul care. Let me steward my energy with wisdom. Let me listen to the cues of my body and the signals in my spirit that say pause. Teach me that spiritual maturity includes boundaries, that honoring you with my life includes honoring the temple you placed your spirit in, this very body I often neglect. Let me care for it not out of vanity, but out of reverence. God, you see how often I wear fatigue like a badge of honor, but you are stripping me of that need. You are showing me that being tired is not holy, and being burned out does not prove devotion. You are helping me redefine what faithfulness looks like. Sometimes it looks like doing less. Sometimes it looks like waiting. Sometimes it looks like closing the laptop, turning off the phone, and being fully present in the moment you have placed me in. And in that presence, joy returns. Peace grows. Creativity flourishes. Relationships deepen. My soul breathes again, not because I did something spectacular, but because I made room for you to fill the empty spaces. You were never far. I had just become too cluttered to notice. And now, in the space I have made, you pour in more than I could ask for. More peace, more grace, more love. So today, I receive your invitation not to rush ahead, but to remain close, to live in the flow of your spirit, not the force of my schedule, to move when you move, to stop when you stop, to live unhurried in a world that never slows down. That is my quiet rebellion. That is my holy rhythm. That is the melody of rest you are teaching me to sing. Lord, I come to you today not in weariness, but in a gentle steadiness that has begun to take root since you taught me how to rest. And now, from this place of inner quiet, I sense you beckoning me again, not forward in a rush, but deeper into trust. You are not calling me to change directions, to leap toward something new or unfamiliar. Instead, you are asking me to remain, to stay the course, to hold fast. And that, too, requires courage. It is easier, sometimes, to start something new than to endure in something familiar. It is easier to dream about beginnings than to be faithful in the middle. But you are showing me that the middle matters. The unglamorous, often invisible moments of showing up day after day, those are sacred to you. You do not just anoint the start or the finish. You bless the middle. You meet me here, where nothing feels particularly exciting, but everything is being forged. God, you see the parts of my journey where the enthusiasm has worn off, where routine has dulled the edges of purpose. And yet, you whisper gently, keep going. Keep trusting, not because it feels thrilling, but because it is true, not because it is easy, but because it is worth it. You are the God who sustains, not just the one who initiates. You empower me not only to begin well, but to finish strong, and that begins with choosing to stay. Staying does not mean standing still. It means being rooted. It means remaining in the assignment even when applause has faded. It means loving the people you have placed around me, even when the emotional high is gone. It means honoring the commitments you led me to, even when my feelings fluctuate. It means showing up with integrity, even when no one sees. Staying the course is a quiet kind of bravery, the kind you honor with rewards that grow slowly, like seeds underground. You remind me that perseverance is not just about endurance. It is about alignment. I do not keep walking because I must. I keep walking because I trust you are leading, even when the road looks the same for miles. You are doing something new within me. You are stretching my capacity. You are sharpening my focus. You are revealing how much of this journey is less about the destination and more about who I am becoming. I confess, Lord, that I often equate movement with progress. When things slow down or feel repetitive, I assume I have missed something. But you're teaching me that growth is not always loud, that transformation can be subtle, that some of the most profound shifts in my life happen not in leaps, but in layers, not in explosions, but in quiet, unseen decisions to remain faithful. And today, I say yes again. You see, God, how the world tries to pull me toward novelty, how distractions beckon with the promise of something more exciting, more immediate, more gratifying. But you are asking for something more enduring. You are asking me to dig deeper, not wider, to invest in depth over breadth, to trust that what seems monotonous is actually rich with potential if I have the eyes to see it and the heart to believe it. So I look again. I look at the people, the places, the responsibilities you have placed in my life. And instead of longing for an escape or a change, I ask you to renew my vision. Show me what I have stopped seeing. Remind me why you brought me here in the first place. Awaken gratitude where boredom has crept in. Rekindle joy where fatigue has dulled my senses. I do not want to simply endure. I want to remain with purpose. Help me resist the temptation to self-sabotage when things feel slow. Help me stay planted when everything in me wants to uproot. You are not done with this part of the journey. You are refining something in me that can only be formed in this season. Let me not rush what you are building with care. Let me not run from the process that is preparing me for the promise. Let me not quit 5 minutes before the breakthrough. You are faithful, Lord. And because of that, I can be faithful too, not because I am strong enough, but because you are. Not because I always feel motivated, but because I trust your word more than my emotions. You are the God of follow-through, the God of completion, the God who finishes what he starts. And if you have not moved me on, then there is still something here for me to learn, to give, to become. Let me not despise the slow days. Let me not measure my purpose by visible results. Let me measure by obedience, by surrender, by whether or not I am still showing up with open hands and an open heart. Let me take joy in the process itself, not just the outcome. Let me live today as if it matters, because it does. Every prayer prayed in secret, every small act of love, every quiet moment of trust, you see it all. You weave it all. And in those moments where I am tempted to look for a way out, remind me to look up instead, to fix my gaze on you, the author and finisher of my faith. You have not led me this far to abandon me now. You are not silent because you are absent. You are silent because you are strengthening me, teaching me to rely on what I know of you rather than what I feel in the moment. That is maturity. That is growth. So I take another step, not dramatic, not loud, but deliberate. I choose to stay, to be present, to be faithful in what feels small, because I know you are in it. I know you are watching. I know you are multiplying what I cannot yet see, and one day, I will look back and realize that the season I wanted to skip was the very soil you used to build my foundation. Lord, give me endurance that outlasts disappointment. Give me joy that transcends the mundane. Give me hope that does not waver with circumstances. And above all, give me the strength to stay when staying is the bravest thing I can do. I trust you. I am still here. I am still listening. I am still moving forward, even if the pace is quiet, because you are worthy, and this is holy ground. Father, I come before you in this quiet hour, where the stillness holds more than silence, it holds formation. As I continue walking this steady path you have invited me to stay on, I begin to sense there is more beneath the surface than I once realized. What seemed uneventful yesterday now feels layered with quiet intention. You are not only asking me to stay, but to grow in the unseen, and that shift changes everything. You are the God who sees in secret. You are the one who watches over seeds long before they sprout. And now I understand this season is not about pause. It is about preparation. Just because the world cannot measure it does not mean you are not working. In fact, I am learning that some of your deepest work happens when no one is watching, when no one applauds, when no one even knows, but you know, you see the soil, you touch the root. God, I confess how often I have craved validation as proof of progress. I have measured growth by outcomes, by movement, by recognition. But you are refining that in me. You are shifting my eyes from applause to alignment. You are calling me to trust the hidden work as holy work, to believe that what you are doing inside me is just as significant as anything visible I could achieve, and perhaps even more so. There is something sacred about being prepared in private, about allowing you to mold and shape and refine me where no spotlight reaches. In these hidden places, my character is formed, my patience is stretched, my motives are purified. You strip away the distractions and leave me with what is real. With you, and in that space, I begin to see more clearly what truly matters. You are not just preparing my hands for what I will do. You are preparing my heart for how I will carry it. Because calling without character becomes a burden. Purpose without patience becomes noise, and vision without humility turns inward. But you, Lord, are crafting something better. Something enduring. Something strong enough to withstand pressure. Something quiet enough to carry peace. I begin to realize that the delay I once resisted is actually protection. That the waiting is not punishment, it is mercy. You are not holding me back. You are holding me together. You are giving me time to become someone who will not only reach the next season, but remain faithful in it. You are teaching me to move from striving to surrender, from rushing to resting, from demanding answers to simply abiding. And in this hidden preparation, you are gently reminding me that I do not need to prove anything, not to you, not to the world. My worth is not in my performance. My value is not in my pace. I am not behind. I am not late. I am exactly where you have placed me for reasons beyond what I can understand today. But someday, I will see. Someday, the fruit will bloom, and it will be rooted in trust, not in fear. Lord, help me lean into this invisible season. Help me stop resisting what I do not yet recognize. Give me the eyes to perceive the beauty of becoming. Remind me that even when I feel unseen, I am still deeply known, still chosen, still called, still yours. You are not shaping me for show. You are shaping me for substance, and you do not waste 1 ounce of this quiet work. Let me be patient in the preparation. Let me find joy not just in the dream, but in the discipline that shapes me for it. Let me embrace the silence as a space where I can hear you more clearly. Let me stop measuring my life by outward markers and start asking, who am I becoming in you? Is my heart soft? Is my spirit teachable? Am I willing to be refined? These are the questions that matter. These are the questions you ask, not how far I have gone, but how deeply I have yielded, not how loud my life sounds, but how anchored my soul is. And if this season, this invisible, quiet, humbling season is what it takes for my roots to grow deep, then let me stay in it with grace. Let me not despise the slow work of God, because hidden does not mean forgotten, and stillness does not mean stuck. In fact, what looks invisible on the outside is often the most essential part of the process. No one praises the foundation of a house, but everything depends on it. And you, Father, are laying that foundation in me, not just for what I will carry, but for who I will be when I carry it. So instead of rushing forward, I bow lower. Instead of asking when, I ask how. How can I grow here? How can I serve in silence? How can I honor you when no one sees? Because I know you are here in the hidden. And if you are here, then this place is not lacking. This place is sacred. Strip away my obsession with timelines. Remove my fixation on visibility. Root out the pride that equates productivity with identity. And teach me to delight in this deeper work. Let my obedience today the preparation for tomorrow. Let my surrender now be the soil where faithfulness blossoms. I know there will be a day when things shift, when the quiet gives way to movement, when what you have planted in me will begin to show. But I also know that day is not my responsibility to orchestrate. My part is to remain present, to remain pliable, to remain prayerful, because you are the one who brings things to fullness in the right time. You are not rushed, Lord, and because you are not rushed, I do not have to be either. Your pace is not slow, it is intentional. Your silence is not neglect, it is strategy. You are orchestrating more than I can see, connecting more than I can grasp, preparing me for more than I can handle right now. And that is a kindness, not a withholding. So let me grow in what is unseen. Let me trust what is unfinished. Let me be at peace in what is unrecognized, because this place, this seemingly hidden moment, is where legacy begins, not in the noise, but in the nearness, not in the crowds, but in communion, not in movement, but in formation. This is where you meet me, in the quiet, in the process, in the patience. And here I will stay, not out of fear or hesitation, but because I choose to believe that what you are doing in secret is just as holy as what you will one day reveal. I choose to believe that becoming like you matters more than being noticed, and that every surrendered moment is a step deeper into your heart. And so I remain, with open hands, with a willing spirit, with a heart that whispers yes again, even when nothing around me confirms it. I trust that you are working, that you are building, that you are preparing me not just for something, but for someone you can trust. Someone who will carry the weight of purpose with humility, resilience, and love. Lord, in the calm continuation of this path, I feel you drawing me deeper into surrender, not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet one that holds its ground day by day. You are teaching me to yield in places I did not know I was holding tight. And now, as I remain in this space where movement is not demanded, but presence is, I begin to understand the true shape of strength. It is not in striving. It is not in doing more. It is in surrendering with trust. There is something about this place of waiting, this slow unfolding, that reveals the corners of my heart. I thought I had surrendered, but each day you show me there is still more. More that I clench out of fear. More that I grip because I do not want to be forgotten. More that I struggle to let go because letting go feels like losing control. But you, God, are patient. You are not demanding perfection in a single breath. You are simply inviting honesty, and that invitation opens me up again. I find that surrender is not weakness, as the world says. It is not defeat. It is the doorway to peace. It is the posture that makes room for you. And when I let go of what I cannot carry, I create space for you to do what only you can do. That is where the strength comes in, not from holding everything together, but from resting in the one who holds me. I do not have to prove my faith, pretending I do not feel fear. I only need to offer the fear to you and let you meet me in it. This kind of surrender is not passive. It is active in its trust. It is deliberate in its release. It is focused not on outcomes, but on your presence. And as I continue in this place you have called me to stay, I am starting to see that surrender does not mean I have nothing to give. It means I am giving what matters most: my will, my desires, my timeline. I am laying them at your feet and choosing you over clarity, choosing you over control, choosing you even when I do not understand. You are not asking me to figure it out. You are asking me to be faithful where I am. And that faithfulness looks simple but deep. It is in the choice to wake up each day and still believe. It is in the way I choose gentleness over reaction. It is in the way I say yes to peace when anxiety knocks again. It is in the way I breathe and remember you are not far. You are here. And in every silent moment of surrender, you are near. I am learning. Father, that surrender is not just about what I release, but also about what I receive. When I lay down fear, you give me courage. When I release hurry, you hand me rest. When I let go of the pressure to be seen, you anchor me in the truth that I am already fully known. And it is that exchange, over and over again, that forms the inner strength no one sees, but everyone feels. It is the strength to love without needing to be loved back. The strength to serve when no one applauds. The strength to hope again, even when the last season brought pain. There is power in the quiet yes, the kind that does not need to be shouted, the kind that does not demand attention, the kind that whispers, I will trust you anyway. I will stay here because you are here. I will hold on to your word even when it does not look like anything is changing, because faith is not built in the storm alone. Sometimes it is forged in the silence after, when the dust settles and nothing looks how I expected. But you are still God, and I am still yours. So I keep opening my hands. I keep loosening my grip. I keep choosing to surrender not just once, but again and again. Because every time I do, something in me aligns with your peace. I stop fighting for control and start living in communion. I stop striving to make something happen and start abiding in what already is. Your love, your presence, your mercy that meets me new every morning. And in that place, I no longer need to hurry the process. I simply need to remain available. Lord, show me what I am still holding. Show me where I have masked fear as planning, where I have called anxiety by another name to make it more acceptable. Uncover the layers I have built around my dreams to protect them from disappointment. And gently, kindly, teach me to place them back in your hands. To believe that even if they look different in the end, they will not be lesser, because nothing surrendered to you is ever wasted. Nothing released in trust is ever ignored. Help me release the tension I carry in my spirit, the questions I have not dared to ask, the plans I have made in secret, just in case yours take too long. Help me dismantle the idea that I need to prepare a backup plan for your faithfulness. You are not late. You are not distracted. You have not forgotten. And even when I do not understand the timing, I can trust the heart behind it. Your heart. The heart of a father who does not withhold good things, but who gives at the right time, in the right way, for the right purpose. You are not looking for performance. You are looking for presence. And in that truth, I exhale again. I do not have to earn your approval. I do not have to keep pace with anyone else's journey. I do not have to achieve to be loved. I am already loved. Already chosen. Already called. Not because of what I bring, but because of who you are. And when I live from that truth, surrender becomes joy, not burden. It is not easy, but it is beautiful to release what I wanted and discover what I needed, to yield my understanding and gain your wisdom, to step back from my plans and step forward into your purpose. That is where peace grows, in the soil of surrender, not in the place where everything is perfect, but in the place where everything is placed into your hands. You remind me again that this process is not punishment. It is preparation. You are not stalling my future. You are strengthening my soul, so that when the door opens, I do not walk through it weary from striving, but steady from trusting. And if that takes time, then I will wait with hope, not passive, but present, not restless, but rooted, because you, God, are not just writing a story, I am part of it, and my chapter matters even when it is quiet. Let me carry this surrender into everything I do, into my conversations, into my relationships, into the moments no one sees but you do. Let my life whisper trust even when my words fail. Let my posture reflect peace even when my circumstances shift. Let my presence be a reflection of yours, not hurried, not heavy, but full of grace and anchored in love. This is the kind of surrender that reshapes everything. Not just what I do, but who I am. A soul that trusts, a heart that yields, a life that lives from the inside out. And if I can keep saying yes in these small, hidden moments, then I know you are building something eternal in me. Something that will last long after the season changes. Something that reflects you, God. You meet me again this morning in the stillness, and I sense you are not moving me away from where I am, but inviting me deeper into it, as if all the waiting, all the quiet surrender of yesterday was not an end, but a beginning a preparation for something far more intimate than I could grasp before. You are showing me now that surrender is not only a decision, it is a rhythm, a daily unfolding, a sacred yes that I must choose in both the extraordinary and the ordinary. This morning, I feel the invitation to carry that yes into the unnoticed places, into the small moments that rarely look holy, but become so when touched by intention. And I realize, Father, that you are not only forming strength in surrender, but drawing out worship in simplicity. You are teaching me that it is not about dramatic sacrifices, but faithful footsteps. It is not the thunder of change that pleases you most, but the gentle turning of my heart in 1,000 hidden ways. That is the depth of the surrender you desire, not a one-time offering, but a lifestyle of yielded trust. You are showing me how sacred it is to say yes to you when no one is watching, to choose peace in a conversation where I could choose pride, to hold my tongue when silence is more loving than explanation, to move slowly through interruptions instead of resenting them. You are asking for my heart, not in the firework moments of visible victory, but in the unseen hours where my soul quietly bends toward your will. And I realize this is where you dwell, not just in the mountaintop encounter, but in the kitchen sink prayers, the hallway forgiveness, the whispered faith when my thoughts wander and weariness presses in. Lord, you are drawing me into a life of consistency, not for appearance but for alignment. I sense that real surrender is proven not in how high I reach, but in how low I am willing to kneel, in the patterns I repeat, the attitudes I return to, the habits I form when life is unremarkable. It is there, in that repetition of faithfulness, that transformation takes root. And I begin to see, the place I once wanted to leave is the place you have chosen to shape me. I no longer need constant signs of progress to believe you are working. I do not need emotional highs to feel close to you. What I need is what you have already given, your presence, constant and unwavering. And when I stop looking for the extraordinary, I find the miracle of you in the mundane. You are in the conversation that does not go as planned. You are in the tasks that feel too small to matter. You are in the quiet pause between one moment and the next, where I take a breath and choose grace over anxiety. I sense you asking for deeper trust, not through louder declarations, but through smaller obediences, through choosing contentment instead of comparison, through living this day, this one and only day, with gratitude instead of grasping. You are teaching me that joy is not the reward at the end of surrender, it is the companion through it. And if I allow it, joy will sit with me even when I do not have clarity. It will walk with me through repetition, through routine, through everything I used to call just another day. Father, I used to think I needed something new to be transformed, a new opportunity, a new calling, a new season. But now I see it is not the new that changes me, is the deep. It is letting your truth sink further than before. It is returning to the same word with new hunger. It is showing up again with expectation. Even if nothing feels different, that is where strength is formed. That is where intimacy grows, not in constantly moving forward, but in going deeper where I already am. Help me, God, to honor this moment, to believe that it matters, that today is not a placeholder, but a sacred place of encounter. That how I carry myself now is forming who I become later. That every time I say yes to you in the silence, I am building a foundation that will stand in the storm. And that when no one sees, you still do. You always do. And you are pleased. You remind me this is not about perfection. It is about posture. A heart turned toward you. A spirit willing to be taught. A soul at rest, not because it has all the answers, but because it knows who holds them. And in that rest, I find freedom. Freedom to release what is unfinished. Freedom to embrace what feels repetitive. Freedom to live fully present. Not rushing to the next thing, but receiving this moment with reverence. God, help me to be faithful in the ordinary, not just when the doors open and the lights shine, but when no one is clapping, when the effort feels unseen, when the results are slow. Help me to love without seeking reward, to serve without needing applause, to stay rooted in a hope that is anchored in eternity, not in outcome. Because when I live from that place, everything changes not outside me, but within me. I see now that every time I choose humility, I am participating in a miracle. Every time I choose gentleness over frustration, patience over reaction, surrender over control, I am agreeing with heaven. And that agreement shifts the atmosphere of my life. It prepares me for what I cannot yet see. It teaches my soul to breathe in your rhythm instead of chasing my own. You are showing me that maturity is not loud. It is not always obvious. It is often quiet, slow, hidden. But it is also steady. And in this season, you are building me into someone steady, not easily shaken, not easily swayed, not because I am strong, but because you are. And I am learning to abide in that strength daily. Not occasionally, not when I feel inspired, but every morning, every hour, with every unnoticed yes. So today, I return to the basics, to the small things I once overlooked, to the daily choices that shape eternal character, to the patience that produces peace, to the prayer whispered in between distractions. I give you the ordinary, and I believe you will make it holy. I give you the routine, and I believe you will make it radiant, not because it looks impressive, but because you are in it. Let my life be marked by the depth of this surrender, not in grand gestures, but in quiet consistency. Let my heart be open to the way you move in slow places. Let my spirit be attentive even when nothing looks new. Let my feet stay grounded in obedience while my eyes stay lifted in hope. And if today looks like yesterday, let it not discourage me. Let it deepen me. Let it remind me that you are not after moments. You are after transformation. And transformation happens not in a rush, but in the rhythm of grace. Grace that carries me. Grace that covers me. Grace that quietly forms me in who you have always seen me becoming. Lord, as I sit with you again this morning, I carry with me the gentle weight of what you whispered yesterday. You are not calling me to strive, to prove, or to constantly seek the next breakthrough. You are calling me to remain, and in this space of remaining, you are building a strength that does not shout, does not rush, but holds steady like roots deep in the soil that no storm can shake. I used to think strength looked like rising, moving, conquering. But you are revealing a different kind of strength, the kind that stays, the kind that listens longer than it speaks, the kind that leans in when everything else pulls away. This morning, I realize how much I need that strength, not the kind that wins the day with noise, but the kind that endures with grace, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that walks unnoticed through dark valleys and still believes light is ahead. You are forming in me a heart that does not run from slow seasons, a soul that does not panic when clarity fades, a spirit that is not offended by delay. And I sense now that this is one of the greatest works you're doing in me, not to give me new ground to stand on, but to anchor me where I already am, to show me that growth is not always movement. Sometimes, growth is remaining. God, I feel your invitation to stay present, to not look back with regret or ahead with fear, to stop measuring my worth by what I accomplish or how others respond. You are asking me to sit with you in the stillness and call that sacred, to believe that this pause is not wasted, but purposeful, that you are not absent in silence. You are present in ways I cannot yet name. There is something holy about not running, about not searching for an escape, about choosing to trust you even when nothing feels resolved. And I sense you whispering again, this is where faith deepens, in the unresolved, in the tension, in the waiting that does not end when I want it to. You are here, not just to fix what I think is broken, but to transform me in the midst of it. Father, you are teaching me how to stay not out of fear, not out of duty, but out of love. You are showing me that maturity is not reaching for something more, but learning to rest in what already is. That your presence is not behind the next door, but right here, beside me. And I realize how often I have mistaken movement for progress and change for growth. But you are speaking gently. What if the greatest change is internal? What if the deepest transformation looks like stillness becoming trust? Help me to release the pressure to always be becoming something different. Remind me that sometimes the bravest thing I can do is to be rooted in truth, to be present in love, to be faithful in what is right in front of me, no matter how small it seems. And when I feel restless, when I feel like I am missing something, teach me to pause and listen. Teach me to wait well. Teach me to remain in you, not just physically still, but spiritually at rest. Lord, you are showing me that spiritual depth is not measured by how far I go, but by how deeply I stay. And today, I choose to stay. I choose to remain under the weight of this season, because I believe you are using it to strengthen me. I choose to remain in conversations that require compassion, not convenience. I choose to remain in commitments that stretch me into greater love. I choose to remain in hope, even when the future looks dim. Let my heart be content in hidden places. Let my soul stop craving constant change. Let me embrace this chapter of slow obedience as the holy ground it is. I do not need a spotlight to be faithful. I do not need applause to keep going. I need you. And you are here not just leading me to the next thing, but sitting with me in this one. God. This morning, I sense you asking me to redefine what it means to grow. not by comparison, not by external milestones, but by the quiet fruit of remaining, of choosing peace over panic, of choosing honesty over image, of choosing patience when impatience would be easier. You are doing a deeper work, one that does not demand notice, but transforms from the inside out. Help me notice the beauty in staying when answers are slow, in staying when emotions shift, in staying when enthusiasm fades, and all that is left is the commitment I made. That is when real love is forged. That is when true faith is formed. Not in the beginning when energy is high, or the end when reward is in sight, but in the long middle where obedience becomes a daily choice. Let my strength come from quiet roots. Let my confidence come not from achievement, but from assurance. Let me walk today without striving, without rushing, without needing to arrive somewhere else to feel secure. Let my security be in you. And if all I do today is stay close to your heart, then I have not failed. If I choose to love when it is hard, to serve without recognition, to believe even when I am unsure, then I am right where I need to be. I see now that remaining is not passivity, is active trust. It is fierce dependence. It is choosing you again and again when I have every reason to give up. And in that choice, my soul is refined, my will is softened, my character is shaped, and your presence becomes more real than the noise that surrounds me. So I remain, not because it is easy, not because I see the full picture, but because I believe you are faithful, because I know you are doing something deeper than I can see, because I trust that what you are forming in this hidden place will carry me further than any quick success ever could. And in that trust, I rest, I breathe, I receive this day as a gift. Lord, be with me in the remaining. Be near in the quiet. Be strong when I feel weak. Let my soul grow not in the pursuit of more, but in the fullness of what already is. Let me be faithful where my feet stand, not where I wish they were. Let me live this day not waiting for it to pass, but honoring it as holy. And if today looks like waiting again, like pausing again, like staying again, then let me do so with joy. Let me find purpose in what appears unremarkable. Let me find you in every breath, and let my staying be a witness of trust to a world always rushing on. You are here, and that is enough. Father, you are here in the stillness of morning, and my heart continues to unfold in the quiet shelter of your presence. Yesterday, I chose to remain. Today, I wake with a trembling awareness that sometimes remaining leads not only to stillness, but to the grace of beginning again. Not a reset that erases everything behind me, but a gentle nudge forward that rises from the very ground where I stood faithfully. You are not asking me to leave what I have learned behind, but to carry it as I take the next step. There is something sacred in realizing I do not need to wait for perfect circumstances to begin again. I do not need a fresh calendar, a clean slate, or the applause of others. All I need is this moment, this breath, to lean into you once more. And with that breath, I feel your mercy washing over me, not as a tidal wave demanding change, as a stream that refreshes and restores. You are not rushing me. You are renewing me. God, it is hard to begin again when I feel weary, when I am afraid that I will end up right back where I started. But you remind me that this is not the same place. I am not the same person. The stillness has formed something in me. The staying has stretched my faith. And now, in your timing, you are awakening a new rhythm, not frantic, not forced, but one that flows from a deeper place. I hear you whisper that beginning again does not mean I failed. It means I am brave enough to try again with a softer heart, to hope again with a quieter spirit, to trust again with eyes more open. This is not starting over. It is continuing forward with more grace, more wisdom, and more awareness of you. And that changes everything. Lord, I no longer want to chase after beginnings that are rooted in pressure or fear. I want to begin again from the place of knowing I am held. Let my new steps be grounded in surrender, not strategy. Let my decisions flow from peace, not panic. Let my heart stay open even when I walk into the unknown. Because you go before me, and nothing ahead of me will surprise you. You are not calling me to leap ahead, but to lean into today, into the work of showing up when it is easier to withdraw, into the discipline of believing good things still unfold in quiet places, into the courage of trying one more time, not to impress, but to align with what you are gently stirring in my spirit. You are not looking for perfection. You are asking for participation. And so I offer you what I have, not much, perhaps, but it is real, and it is yours. Help me see that beginning again can be slow. It can be quiet. It can be unnoticed by the world, but in your eyes, it is sacred. Every time I choose to forgive again, I begin. Every time I speak kindness when I feel empty, I begin. Every time I believe you are still writing my story, I begin. And each beginning brings me closer to the version of myself you have always seen. God, I release the idea that I need to have it all figured out before I start. You never asked for that. You simply asked me to walk with you, step by step, to trust you with my hesitations, to hand you the pieces of dreams that shattered, and let you rebuild them into something purer. And even if the rebuilding takes longer than I imagined, even if it looks different than I hoped, I believe you are faithful in the process. There is beauty in the beginning that follows the waiting. There is purpose in the pause that came before the push. And now, I ask you to teach me how to begin again with tenderness. Not with pressure to perform, but with delight in simply moving with you. Not to prove my worth, but to practice your presence. Let this day be marked by grace, not just for others, but for myself. Grace to fail without shame. Grace to try without fear. Grace to dream without needing guarantees. Grace to rest even in the midst of doing. Grace to be human in a world that demands constant achievement. And most of all, grace to believe that beginning again is holy work. You have shown me that I do not need to be the strongest or the most certain to take the next step. I just need to be willing. Willing to believe that small movements matter. Willing to see progress in the unseen. Willing to plant seeds even when I do not know when they will grow. And willing to wake up tomorrow, even if today feels like a whisper. That is the kind of faith you are nurturing in me. Let my soul begin again with hope. Hope that does not ignore reality, but sees it through the lens of redemption. Hope that dares to keep loving when the outcome is unclear. Hope that clings to you when everything else feels uncertain. That hope is not blind. It is rooted in history, in the record of your goodness, in the memories of your mercy, in the quiet ways you have always carried me forward, even when I did not realize I was moving. Father, give me eyes to see newness in the ordinary, in the way the sunlight finds my window again, in the quiet breath before the day begins, in the silent strength of showing up when I feel small. These are beginnings too, and I do not want to miss them by looking for something grand. Remind me that the beginning again does not need to look dramatic. It can be as simple as making space to pray, as sacred as choosing presence over distraction, as courageous as forgiving myself for what I did not get right, and as profound as deciding to just try again. Today, let the rhythm of your grace carry me forward. Let it teach me how to pace myself in a world that races. Let it remind me that slow is not failure, that being present is not a detour, that rebuilding is just as sacred as building, and that you, my steady guide, are not measuring my worth by how far I get, but by how closely I walk with you. If I begin and stumble, catch me. If I begin and question, steady me. If I begin and grow tired, lift me. If I begin and no one notices, assure me that you do. And if I begin and find myself right back where I started, remind me that each step was still worth taking, because you do not waste movement. You do not dismiss effort, and you do not abandon the ones who dare to begin again. I offer this day to you not with certainty, but with surrender, not with a mapped plan, but with an open heart, not with expectations, but with expectation that you are already at work, that you have gone ahead of me, that you are walking beside me, that you are breathing life into every moment I choose to say yes. So I begin. From the middle of the story, from the middle of the mess, from the place I once thought was an ending. I begin not because I have to start over, but because you have taught me that with you, there is always a path forward, always a way back to peace, always a door opening, sometimes small, sometimes slow, but always sure. And in that gentle assurance, I take the first step again. Not alone, not unsure, but aware of you, aware of grace, aware that every beginning with you is not just another try, but a deeper invitation into life itself. Let this be the kind of beginning that holds me steady, that roots me deeper, that leads me home, and I will follow, always, even here, even now, Lord. As the dawn quietly unfolds and another day is born in the hush of early light, my spirit turns to you with the same expectancy as the earth awaits the sun. The path behind me is lined with lessons you have patiently written into the story of my days, and the path ahead is hidden in the folds of your will. Still, I wait. I wait not in anxiety or despair, but in the sacred stillness of trust. For what good is running ahead when you ask me to remain? To breathe, to lean into the pause you have designed. You have often taught me, gently and firmly, that in waiting there is refining, In the quiet hours when no answers come, no doors open, and no voices speak, you are not absent. You are present in the silence, present in the in-between, present in the not yet. Father, help me to honor the space between sowing and reaping, asking and receiving, knocking and entering. Teach me to resist the impulse to fill the silence with noise, or to fill the gaps with my own imperfect solutions. My heart often trembles with impatience. I confess that I sometimes confuse delay with denial, silence with indifference. But you are never indifferent. Your love is never idle. What seems still on the surface is often stirring underneath. And what feels like a void is often a vessel being formed for something far greater than I dared to ask. I have seen you move in unexpected ways, at unexpected times. And in those moments, I remember why waiting on you is never wasted. You are not constrained by time. You do not rush, nor do you delay. You are perfect in pace and precise in purpose. Lord, help me to match the rhythm of my heart to the rhythm of yours. Teach me to listen with patience, to watch with hope, to pray without striving. Let waiting be not an H, but an act of worship. Let it be a space where my soul breathes deeply, where my hands release control, and where my faith finds new roots. In seasons where I have waited for healing, you have brought growth. In places where I longed for answers, you offered wisdom. And in times when I felt forgotten, you were weaving something unseen. Help me not to demand the blueprint, but to embrace the builder. When the nights stretch long and the morning seems delayed, remind me that even then, you are still faithful, still working, still present. I surrender my timelines to you. I lay down my expectations, my frantic hopes, my rushed prayers. I do not want just what I think I need. I want what you know is best. And if that means waiting, then let me wait well. Let me wait with eyes wide open to the small gifts you leave along the way. The soft encouragement of a friend, the flicker of peace in a hard moment, the scripture that lands like an anchor in my weary soul. These are reminders that you are near, that you are moving even when I cannot see it yet. Help me, Lord, not to grow cynical in delay, not to let unanswered prayers make me question your goodness, but rather let the delays become altars where trust is built and deepened. Let them shape my character, not just my circumstances. Let them form in me a heart that is tender yet strong, brave yet yielded, longing yet content. Let me walk each step with the certainty that your promises are not broken by time, they are only being ripened by it. There is a kind of beauty that only waiting reveals, a strength born not of success, but of surrender. A joy that is not shallow, but forged in the quiet, knowing that you are enough, even before the prayer is fulfilled. Lord, give me that kind of joy. Let it sustain me when the road is long. Let it be the song that carries me through the silence. Let it be the light that dances ahead when the fog of uncertainty settles in. You are the God who waited for me to listen, to return, to yield. And now I wait for you, not out of duty but out of love. Not just for what you can do, but for who you are. For the warmth of your presence. For the whisper of your spirit. For the unfolding of your better than I imagined plans. So as I rise into the hours ahead, let my waiting be active, not idle. Let it draw me closer rather than drift me further. Let it tune my ears to your voice so that when you finally speak, I will recognize the sound of your direction. Let my heart be a place where you are not only welcomed, but trusted, where faith has found its footing, and hope is anchored deep, where stillness becomes sacred, and time is no longer an enemy, but a vessel for grace. Even if the answer tarries, I choose to trust. Even if the promise feels distant, I choose to believe. Even if the evidence seems scarce, I choose to hope. For you have never failed, and you never will. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. And in that truth, I find my courage to wait again. Let my prayers rise like incense, not to demand, but to delight in you. Let my spirit rest not on the fulfillment of dreams, but on the faithfulness of the dream giver. Let my days be marked not by how quickly things happen, but by how deeply I trusted you while they did not. Let my heart say yes to the unseen, the unknown, the unanswered, because in all of these, you are still sovereign, still good, and still worthy of my waiting. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning, I come before you with a heart full of gratitude, not just for what has changed in me over these many mornings of meeting with you, but for what remains, your unshakable presence, your tender patience, and your gentle reminders that I belong to you as I step into the final rhythm of this prayerful journey. My soul does not feel like it is finishing something. Instead, it feels as if I am stepping deeper into something eternal, something that does not end but expands the quiet, sacred companionship between creator and child. I have whispered to you from weariness. I have cried out in moments of longing. I have poured out fear, laid bare disappointment, and lifted both trembling and joyful hands. And through every breath, you have remained. Your faithfulness has outlasted my uncertainty. Your mercy has been the rhythm beneath my words. I have never been alone, not even once, not even in silence. In every chapter of this journey, you have revealed parts of yourself I did not know I needed, and parts of myself I had long forgotten were there. God, I do not rise from this prayer the same as I began, not because the world has suddenly shifted or every circumstance resolved, but because I am more rooted in you, more willing to release the need to understand, more able to sit in the unknown, more joyful in what is simple, more anchored in the truth that you are enough. There has been no miracle more precious than learning to find you, not just in the peaks of answered prayer, but in the folds of daily life, in breath, in stillness, in the hum of ordinary grace. So often I came searching for clarity, and you gave me peace instead. I asked for signs, and you gave me quiet confidence. I wanted control, and you offered rest. And now, Lord, I realize those were the deeper answers all along. They were not flashy or loud, but they were real. They changed me. You changed me. Not with thunder or spectacle, but with a slow, holy shaping of my soul. You have taught me that the sacred does not demand a stage, that holy things happen in hidden places, in quiet surrenders, in daily trust, in the choosing of kindness when no one is watching, in the return to gratitude when it would be easier to complain. These are the places where light breaks in softly, not to blind but to heal. These are the places where transformation happens, not by force but by love. And now I carry this light, not as a torch to lead others, but as a lamp for my own next step. I carry it not because I have figured it all out, but because I have learned where to turn when I have not. I carry it not in certainty but in trust. I carry it not to shine on myself, but to reflect you, the source of all true light. I know now that it is not about how eloquently I can pray, but how honestly I can walk with you. Not about how strong my faith appears, but how much room I leave for you to move. Father, let this final prayer not be a farewell, but a fresh beginning, a deeper yes, a more anchored surrender. I may not speak these words tomorrow in the same form, but let the posture of my heart continue. Let it echo long after this chapter closes. Let it guide my hands, shape my thoughts, soften my voice, widen my compassion. Let what you have formed here become a rhythm I return to, a place I live from, not just visit when things unravel. Help me to see you in the mundane, to seek you when I am tired, to wait for you when I am rushed, to trust you when I am unsure. Let my life become a prayer in motion, a lived-out hymn, a quiet offering of each moment back to you. And when I stumble, as I know, I will let me fall into grace, not shame. Let me remember that you are never more than a breath away, never further than a whispered thought, never absent in the shadows. And Lord, thank you. Thank you for every soul who has walked this journey with me, each heart who has listened, prayed, hoped, cried, and risen again through these chapters. May they know deep in their bones that they are seen, that their prayers are heard, even the ones without words, that their waiting is not wasted, that they are not too far, too late, too broken, or too behind for your love to reach them. To the one whose faith feels fragile, may they know that even mustard seed trust can move mountains. To the one who feels forgotten, may they remember that you engrave our names on your hands. To the one who is beginning again, may they start with no shame, only courage and a hand held out to you. And as the sky lightens, as the sun quietly stretches across the edges of the world, may your presence feel nearer than the breeze, steadier than the earth beneath our feet. May it be the peace that settles in our bones before the day has spoken a word. May it be the hope that rises quietly like morning light, illuminating the path ahead, one soft ray at a time. If you have stayed with me until this moment, thank you. Thank you for opening your heart, for showing up, for letting these quiet prayers breathe into your soul. Whether you whispered every word with me, or simply let them pass through your heart like wind through leaves, you are part of something holy now. This space was sacred because you were in it, because your presence mattered, because prayer, in all its forms, is never wasted. I invite you now, wherever you are, to share your heart. Let your voice be heard, not for others, but for you. Leave your prayer below, your hope, your hurt, your longing, your gratitude, There is healing in the telling. There is power in naming what lives inside. And if this journey has moved you, I invite you to share it with someone who needs hope, with someone who has forgotten how to pray, with someone who simply needs to know they are not alone. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep walking this road together. One day, one breath, one quiet miracle at a time. Let us hold on to faith, not just on the mountaintops, but in the valleys, not just when it is easy, but especially when it is not. Let us keep rising with prayer in our lungs and light in our steps. Let us keep believing that grace is new every morning. And as we go, may we carry with us the soft warmth of dawn, the hush of morning air, and the steady flow of living water whispers of the one who walks with us still.